Okay, my dudes, we are going to get this going. Y'all know exactly what's happening. We say this every live stream. We are getting real money fantasy football drafts underway. I mean, if you, for whatever reason, I've said this a million times, but I think that we have new people finding this channel every day. If you have not found this channel yet, you have not watched one of these streams, you have not participated in one of these drafts, this may be the best day in your life. Like literally right now, look at the nearest calendar to you. And what I want you to do is I want you to go over there and write Found Fantasy Flock Network, because your life is about to change. Subscribe to the channel and let's get this going. We're going to get some high stakes fantasy drafts underway. We're going to show some draft strategy. We're going to show some players that I'm drafting. And seriously, guys, if you're new to the channel, make sure you drop that like, subscribe to the channel. We are doing this every single night, making videos every single day. We're talking waiver wires, start, sit, rankings, everything in between. Okay, but let me send out this first link to our first draft over there on Patreon. Let me pull up the chat right now for this live draft, see who all's came out here. We actually uploaded 2 videos today, so maybe YouTube's going to be a little weird with the notifications. I have no idea, but I will say, guys, just because we have uploaded 2 videos, YouTube's about to get really weird with who it decides to notify when we're live versus not. So it's more important now than ever that y'all go down there and drop a like on the live stream. Please make sure y'all do. We have Alec, TGL, Jacob, Zuno, Kirk, Jacob, River, Toxic, W, Saram, Danny, Joe, and Luis all out to the live stream. Thank you, my dudes, for coming out. We just filled this draft. We got the 106 pick. So here at the 106, this is going to be a spot where we have a couple different options on what we can actually look to do. Let me show off who is in this draft so far. Let's actually pull up the entire draft board real quick just so we can see these names. Okay, so we have X Broman out here, a new member of the Flock Patreon, my man, back-to-back drafts. He's gotten out here with us. And keep in mind, guys, we sent out this first link over there on Patreon. We send out that first link for the Patreon community every single stream. And then the links from after that will be sent in the live chat for everybody subscribed to the channel coming out to the stream. We have the Pacifier, DSR, EG3. EG3 is one of the first drafts that I think he's gotten in with us, but he has been a part of the Flock community for quite a while now. Then Mr. Padilla came out to our Flock meetup a long time ago. Hoop State, a regular. Eat My Payday. It's like the 3rd draft I think he's been in. I could be wrong. I know that it's not necessarily as many as, I mean, Deezonator's out here in every single draft. I mean, he does not miss a single one. Got Chelsea, Cheeky Hobson, got more things than you. He's been coming out to more and more of these drafts. Obviously, Cheeky Hobson, a regular. Everybody knows that by now. But we got some more people out in the chat. We got Isaac. We got Aaron. Yeah, thank you so much, my dudes. Aaron says he did not get a notification on YouTube, but he got it on Discord. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Whenever we're uploading 2 videos a day, YouTube's going to get real weird with our notifications. So just make sure you're dropping likes on videos, and hopefully they send those out still. Okay, but Dalvin Cook goes to the 102. No surprise here. Alvin Kamara goes to the 103. Back when there was a slight concern that Taysom Hill was going to start for the New Orleans Saints, I mean, we were taking Adams over Kamara, but now I think that you easily have to take Alvin Kamara with Jameis Winston being the starter. So here, pulling this up, since this is a $10 draft, what I want to do is, instead of going through and constructing a team that I think has the highest ceiling possible, I'm going to be going through and instead I'm going to be treating this as if it's more so just a regular 2021 fantasy football league. And instead of getting a Travis Kelce here because of the positional advantage he gives us at tight end, instead let's take who I actually have highest in my rankings, and that is going to be Ezekiel Elliott. So let's take Ezekiel Elliott here at the 106, and hopefully we can get in a $250 draft tonight. We've gotten in $250 drafts every single night over the past 3, so hopefully we can get it in another. Now, Jaggy coming out with a donation. Thank you, my man. Says, thoughts on Giants quarterback Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones actually has some sneaky rushing appeal this upcoming season based on what we had last year. Also, they add in Saquon Barkley. If you look at the splits with and without Saquon Barkley for Daniel Jones, it's a night and day difference in the amount of fantasy points per game that he is actually putting up. And then also with Daniel Jones, obviously they get Kenny Golladay added into the offense. They get Kadarius Toney. Don't love Kadarius Toney for fantasy purposes, but we can see that he is just going to be a weapon used by Daniel Jones. So you can get excited about that. Then to go along with this, I mean, they also are just going to be hopefully a little more dynamic with those extra pieces added in, because they will have the overall vertical element, which is something they lacked last year. Darius Slayton was the guy that was actually running routes deep downfield. we can safely say that Kenny Golladay is going to be an upgrade over him. Then you can end up just getting Sterling Shepard some more space underneath alongside Evan Ingram. I mean, with Saquon Barkley, they're going to have to be a little more worried about the rushing game. So yeah, I actually do like Daniel Jones at a discount. But yeah, let's go back to my Ezekiel Elliott selection here at the 106. And I know everybody watching this live stream knows, but just in case, I mean, someone that maybe is tuning into the channel a little later doesn't necessarily know our explanation behind this. The reason we're taking Ezekiel Elliott over Derrick Henry here is essentially that you can see Ezekiel Elliott coming out and reasonably having 40 more receptions than a Derrick Henry this upcoming season based off of what we have seen with Zeke before. He's averaged over 5 targets a game previously. It doesn't happen every season, but at least it's been on his record. And if you go through and if you look at that, if you translate that over to a half PPR format, I mean, that's just giving Ezekiel Elliott like another 200, 300 rushing yards compared to Derrick Henry to go along with this. Derrick Henry's 27 years old, coming off of, I mean, back-to-back seasons where he totaled over 800 touches. I mean, Derrick Henry, and they have the change with their offensive coordinator. I just think there are too many red flags to be taking him over Ezekiel Elliott at this point. So we are going to be taking Zeke at the 106. We have accidentally pressed the button like we always do. Let's switch this back over, try to figure out where we're going to be going. Okay, so at the 207, yeah, now we're actually just going to be taking Darren Waller. So this is another reason why I think that we can try to test out some new things. Y'all know I've taken Travis Kelce in a million of these drafts. I've taken Darren Waller in a lot as well because we really don't want to be sitting in a spot where it's going to be really tough for us to catch up at tight end. So instead of going with just say Travis Kelce and Joe Mixon, we go with Ezekiel Elliott and Darren Waller here. And to be completely honest, I probably prefer the combination Travis Kelce and Joe Mixon. However, let me real quick pull up my exposure that we actually have to this offense. Okay, did I just move something over? Okay, no, we did not. I always have to be worried about that. Let me switch this back. Yeah, let me pull up my Underdog exposures real quick because you will see exactly how many leagues I've drafted Travis Kelce in, and I think you'll understand why we kind of have to be going through and avoiding him in the first round. And guys, if you're new to the channel for whatever reason, I mean, we are going to be playing in about 200 to 250 real money fantasy drafts this year, so I definitely have to go through and monitor the amount of leagues that I am drafting a certain player in, because if we're investing that kind of money into fantasy drafts, it's very hard for me to just go all in on one player because, I mean, that guy that I would have gone all in before the injury, I had to cap myself at only drafting him in 20% of my leagues because that's going to be the cap that we actually have for ourselves, was a Travis Etienne, where with a Travis Etienne, I was just all in on him. Of course, he gets injured. Cam Akers, a very similar situation. I had Cam Akers ranked as my dynasty running back for this offseason, so I had him everywhere as well. So yeah, we have to cap ourselves about 20%. And right now with the Travis Kelce, we've drafted him in 3 of the high stakes $250 leagues. And then over there on the regular side of it, we've actually drafted him in 13.2% of our leagues. So if you're talking like entry fees, we're probably pushing about 19% on Travis Kelce overall, just because those $250 drafts, I mean, have such a high weight with entry fees. Okay. So now let's switch this back over. Okay, at the 306, we have yet to grab a receiver, so we're 100% going to be looking that route. The only question that we really have is, would we take a Clyde Edwards-Helaire if he did fall to us at the 306? Because obviously, I mean, that's great value for Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but kind of the problem here is, can we reasonably take him over a receiver whenever we do not have one on this roster, and we know that we actually have a very hard time coming back when you don't draft those receivers early, because this is a format where wide receivers are going to get soaked up a ton because it's a start 3 wide receiver league. You know what? It doesn't necessarily matter. We're just going to go with the Clyde Edwards-Helaire here. I mean, I think the value that we are getting at the 306 is kind of absurd. So let's go CEH and let's look at what the other teams around us have done so far. So you actually have EG3 Fantasy taking a Patrick Mahomes here at the 304. I do not like that selection whatsoever. Y'all have heard me say this a million times before, but with the Mahomes, I think from a roster construction standpoint, the opportunity cost is way too high to take a Mahomes over someone like an Amari Cooper at receiver or over a Clyde Edwards-Helaire at running back, understanding that in the 5th round, you can still get an elite level quarterback in a Kyler Murray, a Josh Allen, or a Lamar Jackson. However, you're only going to be taking him, instead of having to take him over an Amari Cooper, you're going to be taking him over an Odell Beckham Jr. So I think that the opportunity cost with those other quarterbacks are going to be a lot easier just to swallow. So I probably am going to be avoiding the Mahomes, especially when he's going this early. Okay. So now let me go through and check out the draft real quick. Mr. Badia says, literally driving through a rainstorm right now. My man, don't be driving through a rainstorm and drafting right now. Especially don't be getting in the live YouTube chat. That's the last thing you need to be doing. Oh my God, my man. I do not advise that. Do not do that, my dudes. Please do not do that. Stay safe. Stay safe, my man. Mr. Brady, I told you, I met him at the Flock meetup a couple months ago. Please stay safe, my dude. Okay, so Luis says, I think Waller is going to perform better this season than Travis Kelce. I mean, Waller definitely has a less target competition in his offense. But the thing is, Travis Kelce literally just put up the best tight end season of all time for fantasy football. Okay, so since we took Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I mean, you get the expected wide receiver run happening. I mean, it is a little bit of an added bonus to take Clyde Edwards-Helaire when we do have David Montgomery going at the 305. So maybe that tells us a little more about this room and how maybe it skews a little more running back heavy than we would initially. Oh my God, I almost died there. Than we would initially expect it to do. So maybe we get a receiver that we like falling to us in the fourth. I mean, at this point, we kind of have to take a receiver. We cannot consider an elite quarterback. Obviously, we cannot consider Kyle Pitts. Even a DeAndre Swift would be very hard to pull off with this construction when we already have Ezekiel Elliott and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. It's just, in these drafts where you have to start 3 wide receivers, it is a death nail to go through and just continue to pass on the position. Okay, Kyle Pitts goes. Okay, so come on. Get us a receiver that we like falling back. I mean, there are 2 guys that I really have my eyes on. One of them just goes off the board with a DJ Moore. That does kind of suck for us. Hopefully we get like an Allen or a DeAndre Swift. Like a DeAndre Swift going to Hoop State would be fantastic. He only has 1 receiver. He took a Derrick Henry and, okay, he goes DeAndre Swift. So we get the receiver that we are wanting to make it back. We are going to draft Julio Jones here. I've actually been drafting Julio more and more as of late. Okay, Mr. Padilla says he just made it home. Okay, I'm happy for that, my man. I'm happy for that. Yeah, so we're going to get Julio Jones here at the 407. I mean, yes, it's not great to have as your wide receiver 1, but at the end of the day, when we are doing so on a team that we have the elite tight end, we maybe have one of the better running back rooms in this draft so far. I think it's going to be nice. It's going to be nice to grab a Julio Jones. Okay. And Let Go says, who should I get at 11 in a PPR format? Saquon Barkley, Austin Eckler, or Jonathan Taylor? Lego, that's actually a perfect segue into me telling you the easiest way that you can get probably the best rankings in all of fantasy football. And I mean, I know a lot of people like sell draft guides, they sell rankings, and it's a pretty big price, but I decided to partner with Underdog Fantasy this year for so many reasons. We're drafting on Underdog Fantasy right now. This is by far and away my favorite place to draft, and that's why we've done almost 200 drafts on here so far this offseason. We're live streaming here every single night, and y'all can come out here and you can get in a draft with me. And at the same time, one of the reasons I really wanted this sponsorship with Underdog Fantasy is they agreed to sponsor our 2021 rankings, our draft guide, our tiers, and everything in between. So if you actually go to the description of the video and you click the link to join Underdog Fantasy and you use promo code FLOCK, I mean, when you make a $10 deposit, you're actually getting $25 added to your account by Underdog Fantasy. So you can go out and you can get into some of these real money drafts with us. And at the same time, you're getting my 2021 rankings. You're getting my 2021 draft guide. You're getting, my 2021 Dynasty Rookie draft guide. You're getting hundreds and hundreds of pages of information. I know it kind of seems too good to be true, and it probably seems like it's not worth anything. It's probably worth $80, $90. Like if we were going to go through, if we were going to sell that in a bundle, that's about the price tag it would be. But Underdog Fantasy, I think that everybody needs to try this. It's my favorite thing to do. That's why we're live streaming here every single night. So please support the channel. Use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. And I will show off my dog real quick, who, guys, when you use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy, not only does it help me, but every single live stream, I have a dog under me at the same time. So that talk about brand loyalty. After we make this pick, I'll show her off to y'all just to give you one more incentive to go down there, drop a like on the live stream, subscribe to the channel. Because I'm telling you, my dog Miley, she loves Underdog Fantasy. She won't shut up about it. It's so annoying. She just kept on saying, Mason, can we get in some Underdog drafts? Mason, can I watch you draft some Underdog leagues? I'm like, can you shut the hell up for 1 second? It's kind of annoying at this point. Okay, so just understanding that we're drafting in like 250 leagues this year, whenever we get the opportunity to take like a Jerry Jeudy this far behind ADP, when there are really no other wide receivers in this range and we know that we're locked into a wide receiver build, we are going to have to take a Jerry Jeudy here, even though I'm not a massive fan of Jerry Jeudy, but we kind of have to go through and mix up some exposures. Okay, so let's make that down here and let me grab the dog. Molly, come here, baby. Come here, my little baby. Are you a good girl? Come here. Come here, baby girl. Come here. Okay, she's 100 pounds, guys. And come here, baby. Good girl, good girl. You can go under the desk. You can go under if you want. Okay, so if that's not going to get you to sign up for Underdog Fantasy, I don't know what's going to. And guys, you get our rankings, you get our draft guide for a $10 deposit, you get $25 added to your account. Helps out the channel a ton. And we actually got our little logo here looking like our real dog. You can go set your logo looking like your real dog. And Domi coming out with the donation. Thank you, my man. A member of the Patreon community says, my bold predictions for 2021. Sam Darnold is a top 15 quarterback. Not that bold. I'll give it to you, though. Says Miami DST is a top 3 unit. I'm going to say I'm not smart enough to have a real opinion on that. And Curtis Samuel outscores Terry McLaurin in PPR formats. Now that is spicy. Now that is where we're getting bold. And I will tell you, we will have a very profitable season if Curtis Samuel does outscore Terry McLaurin. I'm not expecting it to happen. I'll say I think that they probably are a little closer in PPR points than most people are expecting. But yeah, I mean, that last one's a really bold one. That last one I do like, my man. Okay, so now Damian Harris at the 601. JN says, big effing dog is the breed. Yeah, JN has actually met Miley at the Flock meetup. Yeah, I brought Miley to the Flock meetup, and if anybody goes to the Florida Flock meetup, I'll bring her to that one as well. So Damian Harris goes, and honestly, this is like the best thing that could have happened to us at this turn. We need these running backs to go off. We need these tight ends to go off. I mean, hopefully we get another running back or two off the board before we're back up here, because knowing in this format, guys, just that we have to start 3 wide receivers every week, and you could start up to 4, and it's best ball at the same time. It's gonna be a tough one if we're not walking away with some receivers. So a guy that I really like in Laviska Shenault is off the board. I figured that we were gonna have a chance to get him in the 6th round. Y'all know one player I am not considering here is going to be a Mike Davis. We actually did have to take Mike Davis in another draft, but that was one where we didn't draft a running back through the first 5 rounds, and Mike Davis ended up making to us at like the 6'11". There, we kind of had to bite the bullet and draft Mike Davis. I don't necessarily want to in this draft, though, when we already have Ezekiel Elliott and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Not necessarily sure that his low upside touches are doing much for us. Honestly, Hoop State, I'd imagine that they probably go with the receiver. So far at quarterback, they have Kyler Murray. At running back, they have Henry, Chubb, Swift, and they have Amari Cooper at receiver. Ben says, how am I able to get updated rankings if I got the draft guide via Underdog? Literally, all you have to do is reply to the email that you got the draft guide with if you do not have a link where you can go through and you can track those rankings. And all you have to do is reply to that email and say, hey, Mason, can I get the updated set of rankings? And then you can call me a mean name if you want. You can tell me I'm ugly. You can do whatever you want. As long as you just send me that email, I'll be happy to get you out those ASAP. And you know what? We're going to go a little off the board here. Let's take a Dak Prescott. The reason we're taking a Dak Prescott is, A, I just think that Dak is honestly looking like he's probably going to be a pretty good value in fantasy drafts right now. And B, we get Ezekiel Elliott so we can make the overall bet on the Dallas Cowboys offense. And Mr. Padilla, I do not advise doing this, getting Tyler Higbee at the 608. Oh my gosh, that is wild. And Justin says, hey Mason, I am a mother flocker on Patreon. How do I get you to rank my team? My man, thank you so much for joining the Patreon community. And yeah, if y'all didn't see, I uploaded like 14 podcasts breaking down people's teams today on Patreon. And all you have to do is, if you're on Patreon and you want your team broken down, shoot me if you don't know how to get your team broken down and you haven't got it before, just shoot me a DM on Patreon. Say, hey Mason, can you break down my team? And I'll give you the exact instructions. Literally, I get those podcasts out the same day you send me that DM, as long as you send me that DM by a reasonable time, because I go through and I record those podcasts at once. Like, I mean, we just churn those out. I mean, you could see that we got 14 podcasts out there today just on Patreon alone. Okay, now we got Antonio Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster. You know what? Looking back at this, it was probably a very poor decision, and it was probably just a little, I probably got a little too jumpy to take a Dak Prescott here at the 607. I was more so looking at it going, okay, great. We can get 6 running backs. We can get 8 receivers. I'll love our build. But in reality, if we were wanting to get an elite quarterback, why the hell did we not just draft Lamar Jackson here and get Antonio Brown at the 607? So to be completely honest, I do not advise what we did in the previous 2 rounds. I think that it's honestly a little reckless. We can go through and we can try to rationalize it away, saying that we have both Ezekiel Elliott and Dak Prescott. So we're essentially making a bet that that offense goes to what it was at the beginning of last season. However, I mean, it's still a tough thing to sell whenever we're looking at the fact that we could have had Lamar Jackson. And I definitely have Lamar Jackson an entire tier ahead of where I have Dak Prescott this upcoming season. Now we get some more running backs off the board. I want these running backs off the board, especially when we decided to pass on a receiver in this past round. So let's pull this back up. Justin says, thanks, Mason. Going to DM you right now. Hopefully you can get that out today. Keep working hard, bro. You're going to get blow up soon. My man, I can't get that out today. We're going to be live streaming until like midnight or 1 a.m. And I'll be sending out all those draft guides for everybody who use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. So I'm not going to be able to get that out today for you. It's already 9 p.m. where I'm at. I can get that out tomorrow for you, though. Okay, so now Logan Thomas goes to the 704. That is perfect for us, and I promise you, I'm willing to bet any amount of money on the planet here. We're taking a receiver. We're taking a receiver. We're either going to get... Actually, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say too much. Mr. Padilla does have a pick left, and yeah, that Tyler Higbee selection, my man, that is tough. I do not recommend going out and getting Tyler Higbee there. I'd love to hear your explanation on that pick. You go Corey Davis. So we are going to be getting Tyler Boyd in the middle of the 7th round. I think Tyler Boyd's actually a perfect fit on this team, as someone that does have a very high floor with the amount of targets that he's going to have this upcoming season. Yeah, the ceiling is slightly limited, but in this construction, I actually think that the floor we really need from a Tyler Boyd. So yeah, I think that getting Tyler Boyd here as our wide receiver 3, he does project to be a starter for us every single week. I think that's a fantastic selection, to be honest. I mean, I'm pretty surprised that he even makes it that far. Okay, so Dakota says, I am doing my last 3 drafts tonight. This makes like 25. Okay, so I'm assuming Dakota is having a fun time on Underdog Fantasy. My man, your Twitter video is pretty funny today. That Twitter video is pretty funny. Now, Jaggy says, what percentage of injuries should we expect in a season? I do not know how to answer that question. My man, I mean, that is like such a tough question to answer if that gets asked right away and I'm not looking to prepare anything. Like if you're asking me, like, what's the baseline rate of how many weeks we should expect a player to be missing? I would say it varies by position. I would say at quarterback, it's maybe 1 to 2 weeks on a median projection. Then I would say most likely at receiver, what would that bump up to, like 2 to 3? And then running back, it's probably closer to, I don't know. I have a very hard time answering that question, my man. I have no data in front of me. What I do know with injuries, and that has been proven, I mean, time and time again, is that if you think that you're going to be able to identify the players that are at a higher injury risk, it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter who you're listening to. That has been proven to be wrong time and time again. Way too many people focus in on injuries when they're going through and they're building their teams. What is way more important to focus in on is the actual profile of the player and the projection for this upcoming season, understanding how random and volatile a game of football is. I mean, people will go through and they'll say, oh, you can never draft player X. He's always going to get injured. And then, I mean, it doesn't happen. They go, okay, well, he got lucky. I mean, there's no real analysis to it. You can go through and you can use some fancy words to talk about why this player is going to get injured or not. Mathematically speaking, it's been very hard to go through and predict the guys that are at an increase in risk for injuries. And if they are at that increase in risk, it's not going to be as detrimental as what you would think. I would say that if you really want to talk about injuries from a fantasy football standpoint, I would allow everybody to go through and say, you can pick, let's call the magic number 7. You can pick 7 players in the NFL that you want to deem as injury prone, and you can pick 7 players in the NFL that you want to deem as no risk to injury whatsoever. I mean, really the only players I would be willing to call injury prone in fantasy football, I mean, very few. I mean, if we were going early in the draft, I guess we could throw in someone like a Raheem Mostert into that range. Real quick, we're going to have to load this up and most likely draft a receiver. And oh my gosh, the receivers that are available are making us regret our decision to get a Dak Prescott previously. Whenever now we are looking at it, we can go, okay, well, we could have just had a Justin Herbert here 2 rounds later. So yeah, I mean, it's a tough pick. We're going to go with a Brandon Cooks here. I mean, we definitely need to be bringing a receiver in, knowing how fast this is getting soaked up. But yeah, the few players that I would be able to willingly say are at a higher risk for injury than other people. I mean, nobody in the first round. I would say. Honestly, nobody in the second round either. If we go to the third, nobody. I mean, maybe you want to throw Chris Carson in that bucket, but I still even think then maybe that's a tough thing to do. If we're going here, I mean, I think that just so many people are viewing it incorrectly and focusing on the wrong details when they're actually going and trying to predict injuries in fantasy football. I mean, the players that I would be willing to say are injury prone, I probably only have about 3 of them on that list: Deebo Samuel, Will Fuller, and Raheem Mostert. Those are the 3 I'm going to put on the list. And outside of that, I'm just going to go through and I'm going to focus on other details with how I try to evaluate players, because I think at that point, I mean, we're going to be able to find a lot more success and we can just focus in on what actually is predictive. Okay, so now this Dak Prescott selection does look pretty bad. I mean, we're going to have some quarterbacks that we really like coming back to us in the 9th round. And honestly, we may end up having to take one of those guys. I mean, the fact that Justin Herbert makes it to the 901 is kind of ridiculous here. So it highlights again, I mean, we kind of came out here and said that we regretted it as soon as we made it. But it highlights again the mistake that we had made in drafting a Dak Prescott at the 607. I think a Lamar Jackson in the 5th, or you don't take Prescott here. I mean, I think that this was more so just us getting a little antsy, reaching on the position whenever we could have just passed. If we were going to go with the receiver, we most likely would have gone with the Juju. So let me know what y'all prefer. Do you prefer Juju Smith-Schuster and Justin Herbert, or Dak Prescott and Brandon Cooks? Let me know what y'all are thinking there, my dudes. Okay, so now let's pull this up. Super Panda says, add a Jason Verrett. Guys, we're talking about players that are fantasy football relevant. Okay, so Mr. Padilla on the clock. He goes Russell Gage. So are we really about to draft 2 quarterbacks in this draft this highly? I mean, we don't have a stack with the Rodgers. He doesn't fit the same bye week as a Dak Prescott. This is one mistake that I think I've made consistently, in that we're unwilling to really adjust these values based on what we previously have done in drafts. We're going to take a Rodgers here. He's falling to the 906. Maybe what this ends up doing is maybe it pushes quarterbacks later on up the draft board. At least we can hope that it does that. Yeah, so keep in mind, this is a best ball format, so we do not have access to the waiver wire. So we have to draft 2 quarterbacks no matter what to cover the Dak Prescott bye week. But yeah, getting Rodgers there at the 906, I don't necessarily think that we like it. I'm very surprised if we move up previously. Who drafted Devontae Adams? That was EG3. So EG3, let's go back and let's highlight this Mahomes selection here. I mean, when you have an Adams, I think it's so hard to pass on a Devontae Adams in the 9th round. But I agree, when you take Mahomes in the 3rd, you kind of have to. And that's why I really think that instead of getting Mahomes in the 3rd, it's going to be much better off to just get an Amari Cooper or a Terry McLaurin, your choice of the 2. And then instead of going through and having to draft like a DJ Chark or a Robert Tonyan here, instead you can afford to go through and draft an Aaron Rodgers. I mean, I don't necessarily even know if Rodgers was the correct pick for ourselves. Rodgers was a fantastic value here. I have not seen Rodgers fall this far in an extremely long time. And in my heaven says, do you believe Stephen A got Max fired? Man, I would have no idea what's going on that. I didn't even know whoever got. I know who Stephen A is because there's that funny Twitter account of him. But outside of that, I don't know anything about those people. Okay, so now we have Elijah Moore, Jalen Hurts. Eduardo says, yeah, I probably shouldn't have gotten Mahomes. I'm right there in that same boat with you, my man. I'm regretting my quarterback one as well. Now, if we go through and see if there's anything else. Jan says, big things coming to the channel this week, Mason. I'm excited to see it, my man. I'm excited to see it. And then Derek says, I absolutely hate how much Melvin Gordon I have in best ball. Let me check how many shares of Melvin Gordon I have drafted so far. So if I'm looking at the $250 drafts, I've actually drafted Melvin Gordon in 2 of those. So it looks like I may be right there with you, a little overweight on a Melvin Gordon, because in the other drafts, I've drafted him in 8.4% of my leagues. So yeah, I mean, I'm right there, and I'm probably above average if you're looking at entry fees entered into Underdog and the amount of entry fees that I have on a Melvin Gordon. Surprisingly, it looks like I'm maybe slightly above average on exposure to Melgo. Henry Ruggs goes at the 1006. So at this point, I think that we're honestly going to end up going with the Michael Thomas. He's a lot less valuable in this format in particular because you're looking at him as a player that you're not getting the fantasy football playoffs a bump with him. With this kind of format, you're trying to score as many points throughout the entire season as possible. This is one of my least favorite drafts that I've done in a very long time. Thank God This is a $10 draft, not a $250 league. And this is a big reason why we go through and we get these $10 warm-up drafts underway. That way, I'm not making that panic pick. I'm not just going completely rogue here and taking a Dak Prescott. We know that what we're actually supposed to do a little later on. So yeah, I'm not a massive fan of this draft, but we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. I definitely think the correct decision there is going to be to go with a receiver. And the problem is, like, if we're drafting Terrace Marshall, well, yeah, I mean, we're going to get Terrace Marshall playing for the first few weeks, but it's not like he's going to be making our starting lineup that often whatsoever. Where Michael Thomas, I mean, he's not making our starting lineup, but I mean, at least in the second half of the season, we know the upside that we can possibly expect. We don't know that same level of upside with a Terrace Marshall. Okay, so now let's pull this up. Dakota says, I drafted Michael Thomas 0 times in 25 leagues. Let me see how many drafts I've drafted Michael Thomas. I probably have drafted him a lot in the tournaments, like when you're trying to have the high scores at the very end with the fantasy football playoffs. So I've drafted him in 7.2% of regular leagues. And then in the $250 leagues, I've actually drafted him in 4. So I've drafted Michael Thomas, I guess, in a decent amount of leagues. Not that many in the regular leagues, but if you're looking at overall entry fees, I have a lot on Michael Thomas. Walter says, is there going to be another $10 warm-up? It's mainly going to depend on what the big dog lobby looks like. I'm going to try to get in a $250 draft after this. If I can't get in a $250 draft, then I'll send a $10 link out in the live chat. Because I think what we're doing from now on, to be honest, is because Underdog Fantasy looks like they are going through and really trying to fill that big dog contest, given the fact that it may not fill and they have to go and they have to put extra money into the league prize pot compared to what was actually entered into entry fees. I'm viewing it literally just almost as free money that's out there. So I'm trying to save up all the money that I can to enter into those $250 drafts. So I think I'm probably done sending out $50 drafts in the live stream. And instead, I think I'm probably just going to be exclusively posting up in the big dog drafts, and then these these $10 drafts that we're getting on the stream as well. Because I think $10 is a very good price point for everybody, considering the fact that $10 is the price point that if you deposit $10 on Underdog Fantasy, I mean, you get in a league with me at the same time. You get our rankings, you get our draft guide, you get our tiers. So I think that $10 is probably a pretty good price point. And also, if we're doing $10 drafts, I mean, usually whenever we go through a draft, I mean, to be completely honest with y'all, just obviously y'all can see this as well. Whenever we go through and do a $10 draft, I mean, usually by the time the entire draft is over, I've already gotten $10 worth of donations. So it's like I'm playing for free, if that makes sense. So yeah, I think that we'll go through and we'll continue to do as many $10 drafts as possible. And Jacob says, will you stream after the Bucks game? Yes, I'm going to be streaming Thursday night. I'm streaming Thursday night, guys. Do not worry about that. Jamal Williams goes at the 11:06. Devin Singletary at the 11:09. Kyle says, you don't know Stephen A. You never watch ESPN. What the hell? I know Stephen A. That's what I said. I know Stephen A. because of the, whatever the hell it is, the funny Twitter account of him. I don't know the other person y'all name. And yes, I will say the only time I'd ever watch ESPN is whenever it was on in the gym and they talked about literally the dumbest things that I've ever seen. It would literally be like a football show, and then they would be talking about, oh, is bowling a better team activity versus going to a bar? I'm like, are we supposed to be talking about football? Like, what are we talking about here? And it was just like the dumbest thing ever. They were saying like, what is your favorite 80s movie? I'm like, are you like, what? The NFL drafts in 2 weeks. And that's when they were doing it. They were talking about, what's your favorite movie? It's supposed to be some ESPN show. I was like, no, I don't watch ESPN, guys. I don't watch ESPN. Sam says, what are you going to stream during the season? We'll get a lot of things going, guys. We'll get a lot of things going. Do not worry about that whatsoever. There'll be some fun contests on Underdog Fantasy we're going to be streaming as well. Like, there'll be more drafts and stuff we can do on Underdog. I don't necessarily know how much we're going to be doing that versus me just live streaming and us hanging out and just answering questions and everything. So definitely just make sure you're subscribed, and we're going to be streaming probably every night during this season as well. At least almost every single night. I don't want to say the official announcement because I told you all streaming every single day real money fantasy football drafts on Underdog Fantasy, and we have done that. I mean, we have done a fantastic job in sticking to our word and streaming every single day real money fantasy drafts. So I'm not going to tell you we're streaming every single day during the season as well. I mean, during the season, I will be streaming as many days as possible. Most weeks we'll be live streaming 7 days a week. But of course, if I get sick or something if something happens, maybe we'll have to take a night off or two. But last football season, I took 2 days off of live streaming. 2 days off. We took off my anniversary and then some sorority date event that I ended up having to go to, and I couldn't get out of it. That's what it is, guys. I'll be here all football season. We'll be streaming almost every night. Okay, so Kirk Cousins goes, and this is a big thing is whenever we're talking draft strategy here, a highlight of my roster so far that I want to point out is whenever at the very top of the draft, like we bring in an Ezekiel Elliott and a Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I think that we already have such a baseline of what we're going to get at running back, and we know that we are going to have that guaranteed volume from both of those running backs, and we're not necessarily going to need to try to find other players spiking into the starting lineup. So I think we can't afford to wait a very long time. Maybe you could make the argument that I should have gone with the Zach Moss over Michael Thomas here. However, I don't necessarily know if that argument holds up, understanding that receiver is going to dry up very soon anyway. So yeah, we get James Conner in the 11th round as our third running back. We're going to be drafting 6 running backs total on this team, most likely. But yeah, I think that we just wanted to continue to bring those wide receivers in, knowing that we went with 2 quarterbacks a little early. It does kind of suck with the receivers that we had to pass on. I mean, we ended up having to pass on like a Jacoby Myers to get Aaron Rodgers, which of course is not the best. Okay, well, let's pull this up. And if we're looking at the draft board from here on out, I mean, we're done drafting QB. And one of my favorite things with Underdog is you can go through and you can just press these buttons at the top and you can actually look at exactly the positions that you're wanting. Horn Pal says, hey, Mason, how many actual leagues are you in? Not best ball, actual leagues. If you're including Dynasty, probably 30 about. That's including Dynasty as well. I'm in a ton of Dynasty leagues, my dudes. Y'all know how much I love Dynasty football. Okay, Alexander Madison at the 1304. Okay, so now at the 1306, I mean, we're either going to get Nelson Aguilar or Tyrell Williams here, whoever falls to us. We just need to continue to bring in wide receivers that are going to get targets. I mean, I guess maybe you could talk me into going with like a James White as our running back 4. Looking at the running backs that are going to be going afterwards, you know what? Compared to the guys that are going to be going afterwards, especially when Giovanni Bernard goes off the board, let's just get another running back in here that's going to have a role in his offense. Obviously, you have to give him a massive bump up with Mac Jones starting, knowing that Mac Jones is going to be more willing to dump the ball off to the running back position than what we had with Cam Newton. So now this is the team so far. At tight end, we have Darren Waller. At quarterback, we have Dak Prescott and Aaron Rodgers. If you're playing in a non-best ball format and you submit your starting lineup weekly and you have access to the waiver wire, once you take a Dak Prescott here, you cannot draft another quarterback the entire time. But a reason why we have to draft Aaron Rodgers is because we don't have access to the waiver wire, and we also don't even submit our starting lineup in a league like this, and it gets submitted at the end of the week, and the highest points go in. So if we get a random spike for Aaron Rodgers for 32 points and Dak Prescott only scores 19 that week, then we actually get to use the score for Aaron Rodgers. And then at receiver, we end up getting Julio Jones, Jerry Jeudy, Tyler Boyd, Brandon Cooks, Michael Thomas, and Cole Beasley. So I think that we're very balanced on this team. The Dak Prescott selection was bad. I'm going to be the first one to own up to that. The Dak Prescott selection was very bad looking at the other quarterbacks that we could have had. I mean, we could have ended up getting like a Matthew Stafford here in the 10th round. And yeah, I think that would have been honestly much better for this team. Okay, so Dakota says, can we give Mason an honorary degree in advanced fantasy football? I actually am starting a university. That's called You caught me slacking. I set up a joke that I didn't have a punchline for. That was pretty bad. You caught me slacking there, my dude. God, I need to get some caffeine going. That was embarrassing right there. First, I embarrassed myself with the Dak Prescott selection, and then that I can't even finish a joke. Oh, my God. If you're new to the live stream, I'm just going to let you know that's never happened before. Right? Just ask the chat. Usually I'm out here rolling. Usually I'm on a roll out here. Okay, let me turn the chat on to subscriber only real quick. That way I can make sure that I continue to monitor it, or if it's just where anybody can type. Obviously, subscribers, none of them really come in and troll, but if it's just some random person, then we're going to get some trolls out here. Okay, Lank Dog out in the chat. Happy to have you out here, my man. Okay, so now we get some more tight ends going off the board, and of course, when we have Darren Waller, it's kind of what we want to see. At this point, when we go with the James White, we're most likely wanting receivers to make it back to us. The receivers that we would have considered at this past selection would have been Tyrell Williams or Nelson Aguilar. But I think based on the running backs going here, we honestly probably had to go and get a James White. I don't necessarily think we could have done anything else. McKissick goes at the 1403. Now let's go through and let's pull this back up. And we cannot consider quarterback. We literally can't. It doesn't matter if Baker Mayfield makes it to the very last round. We can't draft him. So from here on out, we are just wide receiver, tight end, and running back. We need one more tight end. We need 1 to 2 more running backs. I think based on us actually getting both James Conner and James White, we may just be fine with one running back. And No Chill Bill comes out and says, had my draft tonight and put your knowledge to good use. Good to be out here. My man, thank you so much for coming to the live stream. Let me know how that draft went, my dude. Let me know. And Amara St. Brown's going to be like the easiest pick on the planet whenever we do have Brashad Perriman getting cut. So we're going to bring him in as our wide receiver 7. That's going to be a very easy selection here. So this is going to be a team where, honestly, maybe we'll have the potential to go through and bring in 9 receivers total, which would be, I think that would be ideal. I think maybe we just cut it off at running back. It's going to depend on the value that we end up getting later on in the draft. But I don't necessarily want to lock this team in to just go 6 running backs regardless, considering the fact that I think we could potentially get by. I mean, just with Zeke, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, James Conner, James White, we should have guys with roles on their team. I mean, Conner and White should be getting weekly touches. Okay, so now let's go through real quick. Brian says, I sent you a video on Twitter of a guy cheating on Underdog. Please view. He is pretty big on TikTok. Let me go through and look at this. I can send this to Underdog if it's... Let me go through and look at this. Okay, right now I am viewing some guy supposedly cheating on Underdog. Okay, I really can't. I can't view that entire thing right now. But I will in 1 second. Instead, let me go through and pull up what we're about to do. Thank you for sending that over to me. I will 100% check that out tonight. And if that is an issue, I will 100% send it over to the people at Underdog, and they'll get them banned for life. Okay, so now after we have Zach Wilson going off here, I mean, that's honestly kind of good for us. I think at tight end, we're going to continue to just pass on the position when we have Darren Waller. So we can bring in another running back with Damian Williams or Tevin Coleman here. I actually think that we probably prefer bringing in Tevin Coleman in a league like this where we don't have the fantasy football playoffs. So let's bring in Coleman as our running back 5 here. And yeah, I think maybe when we get Coleman, we're just done at the position. Let's go show this off. Okay, so we are at the 106 for anybody wondering. I think really the only mistake that we had made so far in this draft was Dak Prescott at the 607 and the mistake that we had where we completely butchered a joke earlier on in the live stream. Okay, now let's move this back over. Sam Darnold goes, get these quarterbacks off the board. Thank God. And I'm actually going to go over and hop into a big dog draft right now. And let me see how many people are in the lobby on big dog. Okay, so if y'all want to get in a $250 fantasy draft with us, go to the public lobby on Underdog and go to the big dog draft. That's the $250 buy-in. Right now, there's 7 more spots available if anybody wants to go get in that. If not, no problem. But we'll see if that's going to fill. And if that doesn't fill, then I'll go through and I'll just get another $10 link out in the live chat. And then we can get that draft going. And then we can try to do another $250 at the end of this live stream. But I bet this probably fills. I bet this fills, my dudes. I got a good feeling. Okay, so Ty Johnson goes at the 15-12. And another thing is, guys, I mean, what YouTubers are coming out here and saying, if you think you're better than me, come take my $250. Nobody is doing that. I think that should show you exactly how I perceive myself with fantasy football, exactly how I perceive how good I am. Whether you agree with me or not, at least you have to go, okay, well, at least this guy thinks he knows what he's talking about. At least this guy is putting his own money up where I can go and I can take it if I'm better than him. Come on, guys. Come on. Yeah, at least give me some props there. Okay, so now let's switch this back over. So we need one more tight end. Probably done at running back. We'll pull up running back just in case there's some ridiculous value. Carson Wentz. Austin Hooper goes. Really wanted Austin Hooper on this team. I think now we're probably just going to wait even longer on tight end, to be completely honest. Okay, so at receiver, we have Julio, Jerry Jeudy, Tyler Boyd, Brandon Cooks, Michael Thomas, Cole Beasley, Amara St. Brown. So we're pretty weak at receiver. I think that we are probably going to cut it at 5 running backs. we're going to pull up another receiver that we could end up drafting here. Honestly, I am just so tired of seeing Deshaun Jackson at the top ADP. I cannot draft Deshaun Jackson here. I will take one of y'all's fans. Actually, you know what? All the receivers are the exact same. Let's just bring in Blake Jarwin. Yeah, different bye week. Let's bring in Blake Jarwin. It is what it is. What would have most likely been better is let's look at the tight ends that we could have previously had in that other draft. And a reminder, guys, we are currently sitting in the big dog lobby. If y'all want to get in a $250 draft with us, go to the lobby on Underdog Fantasy. There are 5 spots left in that draft. There are 4 spots left in that draft, and go hop into the big dog draft on Underdog. Okay, so yeah, if we go back, what we probably should have done is instead of taking a Tevin Coleman, and I can say that we should have done this 100%. We made a mistake here. We should have instead taken an Austin Hooper at the 1506. And then if we would have passed on Tevin Coleman, instead we could have ended up with Damian Williams in the 16th round. So yeah, that was a mistake where we decided to go with a Tevin Coleman. We should have gone tight end there, and we could have gotten a running back in the following round. The pass fire going, okay, it looks like pass fire went very thin at running back. Let me pull this back up. Yeah, so Damian Williams continuing to fall, but I really think that with this build, I mean, we are so weak at receiver. We're already betting on Zeke, Clyde Edwards-Helaire staying healthy anyway. So let's just go through and let's just continue to add to this receiver room, even though the receiving options here are pretty gross. I mean, I think that we're just kind of having to go and say, you know what? It doesn't really matter. We need guys that are going to get targets. We need guys that can slide into our wide receiver 3 slot. Okay, so Quez Watkins, we need to be quiet. This is a real money draft. I can't just be giving away my picks when we are 6 picks away. Okay, so David Johnson at the 1701. And I'm going to try to pull up this tweet over here so I can watch it over here. I don't know why my other monitor wouldn't let me watch it. Okay. Yeah, for whatever reason, I can't pull that up. Okay, so we are 1 pick away here. Darius Slayton, come on. Give us the guy we're looking here. I mean, Quez Watkins goes off the board. I was going to have to sit here and cry about, do we take Quez Watkins or not? We don't even have to make that decision. And so we're just going to get Nico Collins coming in. Nico Collins should be playing on 2 wide receiver sets for the Houston Texans. And yes, this is a gross offense. Yes, we already have Brandon Cooks, so it's pretty concerning to have 2 pieces of that offense. But I think both of them are going to be the starting wide receivers. And in a format like this, just someone starting does make a massive impact. Okay, so let's scroll this down so everybody can see the bottom of the board. And we have 3 spots left in that $250 draft. If anybody wants to come out and get into that $250 draft with us, go to the lobby on Underdog Fantasy. And we're also going to get another $10 draft going later tonight. So if you want to get in a draft with us at all, even if it's not going to be the $250 league, just make sure you go and use promo code FLOCK, sign up for Underdog Fantasy. You can find the link down in the description of the video. And what you can end up doing is just go, make sure you sign up with promo code FLOCK and you get our 2021 rankings, you get our 2021 draft guide, and at the same time, I mean, guys, you get $25 added to your account and it supports the channel a ton. You can find the link down there in the description of the video. So please make sure you go and check that out. Okay. So now Hunter Renfrow goes at the 1709. Okay, so Brian, I just pulled that up on my phone. Hopefully you are in the live chat right now. Let me pull this up. Brian says, okay, Brian, let me know. I can't hear the audio on the video. Is he saying that he loaded up that other team? Is that other team his? Let me know that ASAP, my dude. Let me know that ASAP. So Kadarius Toney, Hunter Renfrow. Okay, so that $250 draft failed, guys. So we're going to get a $250 draft going after this. Let me switch over real quick and just queue up the receivers that we would want. So what I'm going to need from all of y'all right now, please, guys, please listen to me. Go down, subscribe to the channel, drop a like on the live stream, send every positive thought you have ever had in my direction, and make sure you help us get the 101 here. Okay, so we just went through, queued up the rest of this, and let me pull up the lobby for the $250 draft, and let's see what this is looking like. Boys, this is going to be a good draft. This is going to be a good draft. It's going to be good and bad at the same time. It's going to be good and bad at the same time. Let's pull this up. We got the 102, which is great news, obviously, being able to bring in Dalvin Cook. Now, we have bad news. We have bad news with this draft. We are having to draft right next to Deezinators. We are having to draft right next to Do Me Favors, which, of course, is not ideal. You do not want to be next to those crushers. But at the same time, I mean, getting the 102 is going to be exciting. We have some other talented drafters in this draft as well. I mean, we have DSR, which is scary. We have Party Till She's Hot. I mean, we have Cognition, who's looked better as of late. I will give it to Cognition. He has looked better as of late in these $250 drafts. Okay, so I really thought we were gonna. I really thought we were gonna be making away like a bandit when I saw that we had the 102 until I looked at the names that were next to us. Davante Adams falls all the way to the 108. That's the furthest I've seen Davante Adams fall in a very long time. I mean, and you do have Austin Eckler going right before him. I cannot advise you taking Austin Eckler over Davante Adams. In my opinion, that is just a crazy pick. I wouldn't even take Derrick Henry, Ezekiel Elliott over Davante Adams either. I think Adams is a complete smash there. I mean, that is a fantastic selection. Party Till She's Hot is probably in the live chat right now, and he goes with Calvin Ridley at the 110. Okay. Let's see how this draft board is going to fall, because at the end of the second round, I have a few players that I definitely in my mind I'm going to be going out there and trying to target. I don't necessarily know if we can pull it off. Now, a player that we have consistently drafted on the same team where we have had Dalvin Cook in these $250 drafts is we have actually gone through and drafted Joe Mixon in a considerable amount of leagues, and it kind of is tough to go through and start running back. But when Joe Mixon falls to us at the 211, I don't necessarily think that we're going to be able to go through and pass on a Joe Mixon. So don't be surprised if we go Dalvin Cook, Joe Mixon to start this off. I mean, I think that's a completely reasonable expectation for us. Now, DeAndre Hopkins goes at the 201. So it looks like this room may be a little wide receiver heavy. And of course, if this room is a little wide receiver heavy, then that is something that we're going to need to be looking at and saying, okay, well, I mean, maybe we have to make an adjustment. Maybe one player in particular that I'd be considering in the third round here, maybe we don't take him and we make a tiebreaker in the other direction. Because now, yeah, you have, oh my God, Stephon Diggs falling back to Party Till She's Hot at the 203. I don't think I've ever seen Stephon Diggs go behind both DK Metcalf and DeAndre Hopkins in the same draft. Cognition here starts his draft off Aaron Jones, DK Metcalf. He takes DK Metcalf over Stephon Diggs. I cannot advise that, my dudes. I cannot advise that. I mean, I'm thinking that I'm going here with the Stephon Diggs 99% of the times. What I would have done is I most likely would have taken at the 112. Probably would have gone Barkley, Diggs at the 1-2 turn. DSR gets the dream start. This is literally what I like whenever my head hits the pillow. And if I had like a beautiful, like relaxing day and I have sweet dreams that night, what I'm dreaming about is just me pressing the button on Davante Adams' name in the first round and then finding some way, some miracle that Jonathan Taylor makes it back to us in the second. I mean, this is just a tremendous start right there. I'm honestly very jealous about that. Antonio Gibson goes to the 207. George Kittle goes to the 208. Okay, so we were possibly going to be considering Kittle at the 2-3 turn. Now that's no longer even an option. So Do Me Favors takes Najee Harris. Come on, G-Quinks. G-Quinks. I think that's how you say this name. Is that how you say it? Hopefully I don't sound like an idiot there, but they go Alvin Kamara in the first. Don't take our guy. Don't take our guy. Let's get this party going. We get Darren Waller at the 211. I was not expecting to get Waller at the 211. We just took him in the middle of the second round. Oh my God, that is a beautiful start. Darren Waller should be dramatically going up draft boards. There's no reason for him to be falling this far. Starting off, Dalvin Cook and Darren Waller. I didn't know if we were going to start Dalvin and Kittle once we saw this wide receiver heavy room, once we realized that, you know what, maybe it's going to be really hard to catch up on receivers here. So now pulling it up, what I really need to be doing is I need to pull up some exposures. Because I think that we have drafted Keenan Allen in a decent amount of these drafts. We have drafted Keenan Allen in 3 of these $250 drafts, whereas we have drafted CeeDee Lamb in 1 of them. So just using that as a tiebreaker, I do think we're going to draft CeeDee Lamb over Keenan Allen here. I mean, we still have Keenan Allen in more drafts. We have Keenan Allen ranked higher, but it's not like they're in 2 completely different tiers. So let's just get a CeeDee Lamb. Because also in ADP, Lamb's actually going before Allen. So we're going to get a start off here with Dalvin Cook, Darren Waller, and CeeDee Lamb. Oh my gosh. This is like best case scenario. Best case scenario of drafting from the 102. And we have Deesnators getting Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He gets CEH at the 301. And Calhoun, oh my gosh, they take Kyle Pitts away from Cognition. This is the best thing that could ever happen. Okay, so when we have a Darren Waller here, we're wanting other teams to have to reach on tight end, obviously. And Calhoun wants that same thing when they have a George Kittle. So they go out and they draft a Kyle Pitts. This is going to throw so many things out the window, because usually whenever you see a team that has Kyle Pitts, I mean, that's going to be a team that only has to draft 2 tight ends. And now that you have Calhoun taking up both of those, now there are going to be more tight ends that have to go off the board in this overall draft. They're going to have to go earlier, understanding that if you want one of those premium guys, they're going to be almost impossible to come by. So now I'm telling you, these tight ends are going to go off a lot earlier than you usually see. Do not be surprised to see like Hawkinson and Andrews. I don't want to say at this 4 or 5 turn, because I mean, a lot of us have tight ends here. How crazy would it be if I go with like a Mark Andrews here? What would that change for the overall room? Well, we'll see what value is falling, but this may be a wild stream, my dudes. This may be a wild stream. And guys, make sure if you have not already, go down there, drop a like on the live stream, subscribe to the channel. This is a $250 draft. We have Nick coming out with a donation. Thank you, my man. Says, hey, I have the 105 in my redraft, 1 quarterback, 2 keeper, half point PPR league. Choices are Aaron Jones, Nick Chubb, Austin Eckler, and Saquon Barkley. Devontae Adams and Dalvin Cook are taken. Okay, so between Aaron Jones, Nick Chubb, Austin Eckler, and Saquon Barkley, I honestly think we're going Barkley. I mean, my rankings are posted. I have Saquon Barkley ahead of Aaron Jones. I know a lot of people are concerned about the injury. I'm more so concerned about the overall offense, to be completely honest. However, I still think that Saquon Barkley, based on the profile that he has with how many touches he can see out of the backfield, how many targets he can see out of the backfield, and his usage in the red zone as well, I'm still going to go with the Saquon Barkley. We're going to go Barkley there. Okay, so Mike Evans at the 405, and let's see what Cognition ends up doing. They take Josh Jacobs. I'm telling you, Cognition could have got Josh Jacobs at the 5-6 turn. Josh Jacobs falls that far consistently. Love seeing Cognition in these drafts. I mean, obviously they come out here and they try to snipe us every chance they get. I welcome the competition, and I'm excited to go up against it. Okay, Julio Jones goes at the 407. Kyler Murray at the 408. Okay, so you're getting these elite quarterbacks off the board. You're getting the elite QBs off. If we were going to consider anybody at the 411, 402, we would most likely consider like getting a Lamar Jackson than a Mark Andrews. So that's still in play for us here. However, a receiver that very rarely is in this range for me to draft him. Let me see how many $250 drafts I've drafted him in so far, because I've drafted Lamar Jackson in 3 of the $250 drafts, and I've drafted T. Higgins in 1 of them. So let's take T. Higgins here. T. Higgins is a receiver that I'm very excited about. We're getting him behind his ADP. And yeah, I think that when we start with an elite tight end, we are going to be put in his tough spot at receiver. Now, Deontay Johnson, also someone that I don't necessarily love. Of course, that he's the best player available according to ADP here. I drafted Deontay Johnson in a total of 0 leagues. And oh my God, I just searched Johnson in our exposures. I drafted Colin Johnson in 3 of these leagues. Oh my God, that is horrendous. So let's get Deontay Johnson here as our wide receiver 3. And let's show off this team so far. This is a dream construction. Very rarely are you getting these receivers actually falling to you at the 4-5 turn. A lot of times you're getting them to go in like the middle of the 4th, but seeing those elite quarterbacks go off instead does push them down. And yes, we're going to be passing on DeAndre Swift, But I think the advantage that we get based on a Dalvin Cook here is that we can have the luxury of passing on to DeAndre Swift and then just continuing to focus in on the receivers in this range. Because if you are new to this draft, if you are new to watching us draft in these $250 leagues, guys, please hold off judgments until you see rounds 12, 13, 14. At least stick around till then. That way you can see how the draft board plays out. Guys, trust me, this is not my first rodeo. We are in almost 200 real money fantasy football drafts this year. I know exactly what's going on here. I think that we know how to play the board by now. So let's go receiver. Now you have Andrews and Hawkinson falling here. I think these are fantastic selections. Honestly, I probably would have been going with an Andrews or a Hawkinson in the middle of the 5th based on seeing Calhoun go with both Kittle and Kyle Pitts. Cognition goes Russell Wilson at the 5'11 to stack with DK Metcalf. I guess it can be okay if you really want Russell Wilson, but you can't be taking Wilson here. At least take him at the 602. Chano says, bro, look at fully rested's team. Okay, let's go and let's look at fully rested real quick. Eckler, AJ Brown. Oh my God. Did they misclick that? Because this clearly isn't a bot team. They made some, Austin Eckler was a reach. AJ Brown's a good value. Claypool's a good value. Josh Allen, that's where he's going. So you know what it was? Is they put him in their queue and then they autoed. Oh my gosh. That's why we ended up getting T. Higgins and stuff falling to us. So fully rested, he's dead now, essentially. Like this team is dead. They have a very small chance to make an impact. Oh my gosh, guys. That is ridiculous. I thought you were telling me to look at a team as if it was really good. They go McCall Hardman in the 6th round. This is some free money in this $250 draft. This is some free money here. Okay, so now we're going to be back up at the 611, and do not be surprised. Okay, don't do me favors is I'm not going to call do me favors anymore. I way prefer dome favors. Do me favors reached out to us on Twitter, and it is pronounced do me favors, but no, I prefer dome favors. We're going with OG name. We're going with me butchering it because I can't read. Dome favors goes Jerry Jeudy. And now pulling this up, we got to get our exposures up here. Laviska Shenault goes. I think that we're just going to take Javonte here. Let's take Javonte Williams as our running back too. I think this is a great value to get him at the 6-7 turn. Yeah, I love that value with Javonte Williams. Gus Edwards goes to the 6-12. Okay, so after this, we probably are going to end up going with another receiver here. AB goes right now. Okay, so here, I'm sorry that I'm not reading the chat, guys. I really have a million things that I have to do before we make this next pick. Okay, I know a lot of people probably want to see us go with either Raheem Mostert or Damian Harris. We're gonna just bring in another receiver here. I think that if we bring in Deebo Samuel, we could be at a spot where we can reasonably draft a Trey Lance later on. And I think that whenever we have a Javonte Williams and a Dalvin Cook on the team, we're almost fine at running back. We want to be going for the highest upside possible. If you don't know how these leagues work, guys, what you actually get is you're going to be playing in a 12-team league here, right? You're playing in a 12-team league, and of course, you get paid money for first, second, and third. But what you also get, and what's very exciting, oh my gosh, Calhoun is dead. Oh, we have just so much free money in this league pot right now. Look at this. Look at this. They take 3 quarterbacks here. They go Kyler, Rodgers. They took Rodgers in the 5th. They get Justin Herbert in the 7th. Oh my gosh, guys. He has 0 wide receivers so far. There are 2 teams that are here that look like they have no shot at winning. I'll say this team looks like maybe they could have been an okay drafter, and they ended up just accidentally queuing him and queuing Tyson Williams, and then he got autoed for them. This is just a complete punt. There's like a free $500 in this league pot. And there's also another name in here that I'm not going to say it out loud right now, but we have seen them really butcher the end of drafts often. So I'm getting really excited with this draft. I'm getting extremely excited here, my dudes. Oh my God. Oh my gosh. And guys, if anybody's going to scream at me for going with the Deebo Samuel over a running back, all I have to say is stick around for the next 5 rounds. Trust me, guys, this is not my first rodeo. I know I have a pretty good idea of what we're doing at this point. You're going to see how the draft board falls, and I think Deebo Samuel maybe is the better pick there. We do have to consider the fact that there are some teams in here that are just going completely rogue. I mean, Calhoun, 3 quarterbacks. Oh my gosh. Okay, so Dallas Goedert goes to the 802. Okay, so Cognition goes and gets some tight ends. So these tight ends are getting pushed up as well. This could not be better for us. This could be the league where we win the $100,000. Because like I said, guys, I mean, this is a league where we're in this 12-team league, right? And if you get first in this 12-team league, of course, you get paid. If you get second, you get paid. You get third, you get paid. But what's more exciting is if you get first or second, you get a ticket for the fantasy football playoffs to go into a fantasy football tournament where there are prices like $100,000, $50,000, $35,000, all the way down. And that's what we're chasing. That's why we're trying to get the highest ceiling possible here. So that's why we're essentially going, okay, well, we're just going to have to churn through this receiver depth. We're just trying to go receiver, 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 receiver here. And oh my gosh, let's see what Calhoun's going to do. Let's see what Calhoun's going to do here. Okay, so they have yet to draft a wide receiver. We have Logan Thomas going off the board at the 806. We're going to have to pull this up. Actually, y'all can see what Calhoun does up here, but I'm going to have to try to figure out what receiver we're going to be drafting next. They go Trey Lance as a 4th quarterback. Oh, dear Lord. Oh, dear Lord, boys. That team is just punting. That team is straight up punting here. Now, the question is, how much do we have to adjust? We're actually probably going to go. We're probably going to receiver here. We're probably going to grab a Michael Pittman. Yeah, we're probably going to go with the Michael Pittman. We do need to figure out who we're going to go with the next pick, however. Gosh, the pressure is on because I think this is a league where we have some upside to make some money. I'm sorry if I'm not reading the chat right now, guys, but this is a big deal right now. We have to make sure that we're crushing this draft. Let's go through, try to figure out what we're maybe going receiver here, to be honest. Michael Thomas goes to the 12. Michael Thomas, honestly, probably the guy that I wanted next. Probably just going to go Darnell Mooney here. I mean, we have Brandon Cooks in so many of these leagues. Or A.J. Dillon. You know what? We have five receivers. Based on this team here, Calhoun looking like a complete punt, and they have not drafted a single receiver here, I think maybe we make a small adjustment because we're probably going to have to make some adjustments in this draft, in that we can find more receiver value later on. So let's make the adjustment, and here let's instead go with an A.J. Dillon. And let's show off this draft. I could be wrong. Maybe we see them just pivot over and start taking receivers. But dear Lord, this is a $250 draft, guys. And you can get in these drafts with me. We do these every single night. All you have to do is make sure you subscribe to the channel. And we also do $10 drafts. Yeah, he goes Marquez Callaway. So it looks like they are going to begin to start drafting some of these. But if y'all want to get into one of these drafts with me, you don't have to get in the $250 league. You can get in $10 draft with us. You can get, we're only going to probably do $10 and $250 drafts from now on. But all you have to do is use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. This is by far and away my favorite place to draft in 2021. When you use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy, the link is in the description of the video. You can actually deposit $10, get $25 added to your account with promo code FLOCK. And it does not stop there. I mean, why I love Underdog Fantasy is A, it's just incredibly fun to draft on, as 99% of the people in the live chat have already found out. But B, at the same time, they decided to sponsor our 2021 draft guide. So for whatever reason, probably like an $80, $90 value, you can get our entire draft bundle, which includes our 2021 fantasy football draft guide, our 2021 rankings and tiers, and our 2021 dynasty rookie draft guide. You get all of that with, I mean, keep in mind, like we could sell it for $90, a $10 deposit on Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK. go to the link in the description. Take advantage of that right now because it's not going to be available that much longer. Please take advantage of that, my dudes. And yeah, I hope to see you in these drafts with me. Hope to see y'all in the live stream. Subscribe to the channel also if you have not already. We do this all the time. Okay. Antoine says, does Calhoun think this is super flex? They maybe do. They maybe do. And Jazzy Fresh says, just wondering why you took a Javonte over Kareem Hunt as your running back too. I think that in a format like this, I mean, with a Javonte Williams, he had a significantly higher ADP, understanding that we're not necessarily going to have to take a Kareem Hunt here at the 6-7 turn that often, where Javonte Williams, if we are going to want to take him at all in these $250 drafts, we're going to have to take him here. They're in the same tier for me. And at the same time, I have Kareem Hunt everywhere, my man. I mean, Kareem Hunt is one of my highest owned running backs. And also Javonte Williams, I think he's one of those guys that for the fantasy football playoffs, we talked about this in a video today. I mean, I think he could be just an absolute crusher, and we have to be making sure that we're building this team for the fantasy football playoffs, understanding that we can find that $100,000 league prize on the very top. So that's what we're trying to chase. Okay, so I kind of know what we're doing here. Let me just look at our receivers real quick. Marvin Jones and Henry Ruggs go off the board. So yeah, we're going to end up taking a running back. We're going to take Zach Moss. And we're at the point with running back that it's getting to the point where we can't draft that many more. I think we probably take Zach Moss, then we're done with 5 running backs on this team. We're going to take Moss as our running back 4, and we're only going to be able to draft 5 running backs on this team. It looks like Lance already went in this draft. Did he? How early did Trey Lance must have go if he didn't go there? I don't see him in the player pool. So Lance is gone. Lance is gone. He would be at the top of ADP right now. Tannehill and Mike Gesicki go. Obviously, we weren't considering the tight end. So now I actually think that we do need to take a quarterback, considering that, I mean, maybe the overall pool is going to be a little diluted with that one team taking so many. So we're going to have to take Burrow here. He does stack with the T. Higgins. And honestly, I was fine getting either Burrow or Ryan Tannehill. That's why we decided to take Zach Moss, or I thought that after Zach Moss, it was a drop down to those other players. So it would have been really nice if we had a Marvin Jones falling to us, but that doesn't happen. So instead, at this turn, we are going to end up going with a Zach Moss and Joe Burrow. Let's highlight this team real quick. We drafted from the 102. We went Dalvin, Waller, Lamb, Higgins, Deontay, Javonte, Debo, Pittman, A.J. Dillon. And now that we actually see what receivers were available in the following round, I mean, what would have been better? Would it have been better if we decided to go with a wide receiver over an A.J. Dillon? Honestly, I don't necessarily think so, because we needed to get a quarterback here regardless. And I mean, I would rather have like an A.J. Dillon and a Zach Moss even than like a Hollywood Brown. I don't know. I don't know. Just because obviously the receivers in this range are very gross. But I think we went with enough receivers early on, and knowing that we only have to roster, just say at most 5 running backs, 2 tight ends, we're going to be able to build around a considerable wide receiver pool here. We're going to be able to bring in at least 10 or 11 receivers to this construction. So yeah, I think we're fine so far. I think we're fine. And we have Tony Pollard, Kenyon Drake going at the end of this round. But this is a big reason, guys, why we are continuing to soak up wide receivers here. Just because, I mean, look at the receivers that are going in this range. They're disgusting. They are straight up disgusting, my dudes. And also, guys, if you have not dropped a like in the live stream yet, make sure you go down there, drop that like on the live stream. And yeah, Calhoun is in here just trolling at this point. He either has something wrong with him, like he should seek medical help, or he is trolling because he takes Justin Fields as like his 5th quarterback. So thank God we got Joe Burrow here, because quarterbacks are going to get soaked up very, very early. Oh my gosh. We should have taken Lamar earlier. If we would have taken Lamar earlier, I mean, we would have been in a much better spot. Iwin says, I'm starting 3 Kansas City Chiefs. My man, if you're starting 3 Chiefs, you're probably in a pretty good spot. Cognition goes with Nelson Aguilar, Brian Edwards. Then you get Gabriel Davis going directly after. Okay. So now let's pull this up. And we really have to be looking at where we're going to go like later on in the draft. I mean, earlier than we would do regularly, just because it's a $250 draft. So the pressure's on. Also, I want to rely a little less on this ADP set, considering that if you're drafting in a regular league on Underdog, that's not the $250 big dog draft. There, I think the ADP set's actually going to be very good because they do so many drafts every single day. Here, however, it's going to be a little bit different. where, I mean, there aren't that many $250 drafts getting kicked off. So the ADP set is not nearly as good to look at. Okay, so we're going to have to do something gross here, guys. G-Quinks on the clock. Yeah, they go Traquan Smith. The thing is, do we have to take Michael Carter? I think we may be legally obligated to take Michael Carter here. We really can't, to be honest. If we look at how Calhoun is skewing this draft board, it sucks, but we can't ignore it. With the rate they're taking quarterbacks, I think we may grab 2 quarterbacks here. I think we have to. Obviously, this is a massive, massive reach. Obviously, Michael Carter is significantly better, and I've never been put in this position before. He just grabbed Tua Tagovailoa. He has 6 quarterbacks so far in this build. So I think at this point, if we grab another quarterback, we are going to be able to catch up. And at the same time, if he continues to go QBs, the other teams in the league are maybe dead at the quarterback position if we grab another. So if we're going to grab someone else here, let's just take Zach Wilson. Yeah, so we're going to go double quarterback. And this could be a massive mistake, guys. This is something I'm not used to. I mean, y'all, you know, I said this wasn't my first rodeo. Guys, this is my first rodeo. We have never been in a draft like this where a team has selected 6 quarterbacks. And keep in mind, we do not have access to the waiver wire here. So they're going to continue to draft quarterbacks like this. I think we kind of, our hand is forced. We have to go at this point. Yes, so Dome Favors kind of follows the lead here. He takes a Ryan Fitzmagic. And let's see what they do. Okay, they go KJ Hamler. So they switch it up on us. Maybe they're watching the stream here and they're trying to troll us here. Okay, but I think that it just puts you in such a bad spot where if you're looking at the quarterbacks that are still left and available, it's so hard to figure that out. I mean, when they've taken 6 of them, that could have been, obviously we reach on both Baker Mayfield and Zach Wilson rounds there. And that could be a massive, massive mistake. And to be honest, I mean, I just have no idea what to expect later on in this draft. Okay, Damian Williams goes at the 1307. It would be different if we were passing on other players, but like we're at this point, we're passing on like a Sammy Watkins. How much does it actually cost us to pass on a Sammy Watkins? I don't necessarily think that much. So you get Jameis Winston going at the 1308. Like if we count how many quarterbacks are left in this league, because if he continues to draft them, now you have Darnold, Big Ben, Daniel Jones, Derek Carr, Carson Wentz, Mac Jones, Jared Goff. So you have like 7 starting quarterbacks left in this league. And we are like rounds away. And when we were picking at the end here, it's not like we can just wait in the middle and kind of see what happens. We have to go out there and we have to figure it out and figure out what we're doing like right away. That's just such a tough spot. Chano says there's no trades in this, right? I'm pretty sure there are no trades. Yeah, there are no trades in these leagues. There are no trades. That's why if you get boxed out of a position, you are just kind of left in the dust. Like if you just miss out on a certain position, you're kind of dead here. And that's why I was really afraid, like if we saw him go with another quarterback and what would possibly happen with like the quarterback craze in this side of the draft. And if we were looking at over here, getting like Mac Jones as like the last option, we just had to. I think we just had to. Okay, so now we get Darnold at the 13-12. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen. This is a $250 draft. Okay, Scissors coming out in the chat. Is that the Fortnite guy? I think so. I used to watch Fortnite videos a long time ago. But he says, how many drafts are we doing tonight? My man, I'd love to get you in a draft out here. We are going to be doing probably 2 more. If you want to hop in a $250 draft with us, come out here. We'll try to get another one after this. Okay, so let's get this going. Yeah, I think we made the right decision, guys. Thank God we made the right decision. We're seeing more quarterbacks go off the board here. That was just a stressful point that I had never been in before, and we're still going to get the receiver value falling to us. So that is not bad whatsoever. That is not bad at all. Okay, so Big Ben, Derek Carr, Jared Goff. Not like Teddy Bridgewater's the last guy. Teddy Bridgewater's the last guy. Carson Wentz goes at the 1406. Are y'all really freaking out that Scissors is in the chat right now when I'm on the live stream? Are y'all kidding me? This is the Fantasy Flock Network. This isn't some bogus Fantasy Flock Network. I know. Let me look up Scissors on YouTube right now. He has 4.26 million subscribers. I hit 33,000 last week, and y'all are really impressed by this? Where's all my hype when we hit 33,000, guys? God, y'all are really finding a way to put me down today, aren't y'all? Let's get AJ Green coming in. AJ Green probably actually. Yeah, no, we're going to bring in AJ Green. Let's bring in AJ Green. Okay, so now let's go through and figure this out. Okay, so Mac Jones, Teddy B, go. Okay, that's perfect. We're going to also get another receiver that we want in here. We are going to get Amara St. Brown. I almost considered going with Amara St. Brown with our last selection. We need to be bringing in receivers. Okay, so after Amara St. Brown at the 1502. Okay, so G-Quinks, they only have 2 running backs so far. They've only drafted Kamara and Joe Mixon, so they have to go Devin Singletary here, right? They go Austin Hooper. They've only drafted... Guys, that is maybe the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my entire life. They are 15 rounds through the draft. They have the chance to draft Devin Singletary 15 rounds in. This is a $250 draft on Underdog Fantasy. This is not a mock draft, guys. This is a real money league. Scissors says, I'd rather be sub to the flock. My man, exactly. Thank you for showing the respect that is deserved out here. Come on. Blank space out here saying, Mason, you aren't all that. Are you kidding me, my dude? Are you even watching this live stream? Are you even watching us dominate this draft right here? I mean, my man, you must be watching something else. So I think we have worked this draft. We have worked this down to a T. Okay, so let's move this down right now. Okay, so I need to pull something up real quick. Let me pull this over. Sorry about that, my dudes. I know I am so bad at live streaming. Okay, so now after this, Ramondre Stevenson going at the 1509. This is embarrassing value that we let slip through. I mean, the fact that if we go back earlier in this draft, like if we're going through and looking at this, I mean, we took like a Zach Moss here when we could have had a Stevenson at the 10-11. I mean, we couldn't have a Stevenson at the 10-11. What I'm saying is we could have instead drafted like a receiver, or I don't even know what we would have done. Maybe what we should have done here is drafted Ryan Tannehill, but the problem is we didn't know quarterback was going to continue to go like that. The problem is we didn't know a psycho was going to be in our draft. Okay, so we got Byron Pringle, Darius Slayton. Van Jefferson at the 1607, Anthony Ferkshire. Okay, and we also want to see these tight ends going off the board. We have Darren Waller. Like, we are still fine just to continue to punt on tight end if we need to. Like, we're obviously done at quarterback from here. We can grab one more running back. Let's pull up where we're going to go. I think we probably want to grab one more running back, considering the receivers in this range aren't going to make a massive difference for us. Okay, so Rashad Penny. And Scissors, if you get in this draft, my man, let me know your name on Underdog. If you are in the next draft, should we get a $250 draft going, or should we get another $10 draft going? Scissors, if you want in the $10 draft, I'm not trying to use your name in the title of a YouTube video or anything. I'm not going to change the title Drafting with Scissors. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to do that whatsoever. But if you do want in a $10 draft with us, I can set up a private draft. Send me a link through Twitter. Obviously, promoting with your name would be worth a lot of money. I'm not going to do that without your permission. So instead, just make sure you shoot me a DM on Twitter. I'll give you that link out. And I'm not trying to use this to promote you or anything, but it would be pretty cool to at least tell my friends that I was in the draft with you. So shoot me a DM on Twitter if you want in the next league, and I'll be happy to send that link out. Okay, so now let's go through and get this going. Okay, so we take J.D. McKissick at the 16-11 there. That's going to be a fine selection as our running back 5. And now from here, we're most likely going to get one more tight end underway, and then we'll go and get some receivers from here. Yeah, because we're not going to be picking up again in like 20 picks after this one. Quez Watkins goes. Okay, I'm assuming we take Jamison Crowder, right? Unless I'm missing something here, we're going to take Jamison Crowder. Yeah, we're taking Jamison Crowder at receiver. I mean, we definitely need to continue to bring guys in that are going to be running routes and getting targets. So we're taking Crowder. This is the best $250 draft we've ever done. And yes, we had some people in here in the draft having no idea what they were doing. But still, I mean, this was ridiculous. Ridiculous. Michael Pittman from here in the 9th round on. Dylan, Zach Moss, Burrow. I think we are maybe going to get in another $250 draft. Let me go through and try to get in another $250. Let's see what the lobby's looking like. I'm just thinking right now that if the lobby's looking this soft, because maybe they get in another draft after this. The thing is, I need to be in these drafts with them. Yeah, we're going to get in another $250. We're about to be in two $250 drafts at the same time. Okay, Kadarius Toney at the 17-11. Okay, from here, T.Y. Hilton, Kadarius Toney. I don't even know what we're like hoping for. We just filled another $250 draft, so we're going to get another $250 underway, guys. And in this next one, let me see if the same names are in this next one. This next one does not have the same names, sadly. This next one does not. Okay, but oh my gosh, we're going to be in like, this is going to be crazy. What I'm actually going to do right now is I'm going to switch it over. I don't think anybody necessarily needs us to see round 18, 19, 20. So I'm going to do that on another screen. And let me switch this over with streaming real quick. This is pretty stressful. I'm not going to be able to look at the chat for just a little bit. Let me go over, change this draft to, okay, we're going to go active here. Underdog, 6 picks away. We're going to put this on this screen. And we're going to put this one on this. And we're going to get another 250 going, guys. We're getting another $250 draft going. We are in it right now. We are drafting at the end of the first round. So we're going to have the exact opposite start. And this next one is probably going to be a lot more standard. This next one looks like it just has some regular pros in it. We're not going to be able to see some craziness happening at the quarterback position. Okay, so now at the 18-11, Deshaun Jackson goes to the 18-09. G-Quinks. Okay, so from here, we can't take... Okay, I'm not even looking at the right screen. I'm on the other screen right now trying to figure out what wide receiver we're going to draft. Probably going to take... Yeah, take Josh Reynolds there at receiver. And then from here, we get CMC going off at the 101. Okay, so we got some crushers in this draft, guys. This is not a draft like we just saw. That last draft was crazy with a bunch of names I didn't recognize. These are like the regular people that you're going to find in the $250 draft. Derrick Henry at the 104. Okay, we've actually had a lot of experience drafting at like the 112 over here. Okay, so Devontae Adams goes to the 106. I'm sorry that I'm all over right now, guys. I can't check the chat. I mean, we are currently in a spot where this is kind of crazy here. This is kind of crazy. Devontae Adams goes to the 106. Okay, guys, Scissors just followed us on Twitter, so I'm assuming that maybe he's hopping in to draft with us. This may be the craziest thing that's ever happened, guys. This guy literally has... I used to watch this guy on Fortnite. I haven't watched Fortnite in a while just because I kind of got too busy with the channel and everything. But oh my God, that would be crazy. Okay, so Tyreek Hill at the 109, Austin Eckler at the 110. Okay, so I'm just thinking that these crushers, usually what you see them doing is usually you see them going wide receiver heavy. And we have stuck with a balanced approach so far in these drafts with going at least one running back in the first 2 rounds. I may try something else out here. We may try to go through and grab double receiver at the 1-2 turn. Okay, so we got Saquon Barkley at the 112. Okay, yeah, if Scissors gets in a draft with us, this is going to be insane. I'm not going to promote it or anything on the channel, but I would at least be able to tell all my friends about it. You have no idea how many of my friends know Scissors. It would be pretty cool just for that. Hopkins goes. So between Ridley and Taylor, like in a vacuum, I do prefer Jonathan Taylor. Let's start something new. Let's go receiver. Jayen pulled this off in a $250 draft. So we go Ridley, and oh my God, and we have another $250 draft we're supposed to be in right now, and I'm not even looking at it. This is like the craziest thing ever. We got face scissors possibly going. I'm trying to tell all my friends that we may get in the draft with face scissors. We got over here on this screen, $250 draft. Over here on the other screen, a $250 draft. This may be the most intense night of my life. As crazy as that sounds, we got so much going on, my dudes. If you have not subscribed to the channel right now, multiple $250 drafts going. I mean, this is the kind of content that you're not going to find anywhere else. This is the kind of content you're not finding anywhere else. Drop a like on the live stream. Subscribe to the channel, my dudes. Subscribe to the channel. Okay, so Najee Harris. Okay, so now on the other screen, we're just going to grab a receiver. Since Jayen's in the chat right now, we'll go through and we'll get Devin Singletary at the 211. Yeah, we took double receiver at the end of the first round right there for Jayen. And now we're getting hopefully some more receivers off the board, because obviously when we go double receiver, if we see this room not necessarily push them up as we have seen other $250 drafters do, then we're going to be put in a very difficult spot. Okay, so now let's get that out there. Okay, so we're out of the other $250 draft, so we are done with that. And let me just, I'm going to have to go full face cam real quick just so I can clean up some windows right now, because we have some just craziness happening everywhere. We have craziness happening everywhere. And I need to clean this up. We're going to get that $250 draft going. It'll literally take me 1 second. Okay, so let's log out of this. Got Lamb going at the 303. Let's switch that over right now. Get this going on the right. Okay, so now Clyde Edwards-Helaire goes to the 302. Okay, so Dr. Stanky Leg going. I don't care about your receivers going a running back, tight end, running back. Obviously, love getting Darren Waller at the 211. I mean, this is a dream start. Dalvin Cook, Darren Waller. I was jumping up and down when we got that at the end of the last draft. Okay, so A.M. Carter on the clock. And I'm going to say right now, guys, a lot of people are going to be surprised to see this. I don't care. It's my $250. We are trying to win the $100,000 on top. You can come out. You can get in drafts with me if you think this is bad. Prepare us to go double receiver at this turn. I mean, prepare to see us go receiver here. Okay, so Matt Dunbar on the clock with Antonio Gibson, Tyreek Hill on his team so far. He goes Mahomes. That's perfect. We weren't considering Patrick Mahomes. We weren't considering Mahomes whatsoever. Okay, so I'm assuming we're probably going to get our guy that we've drafted, honestly, in a considerable amount of these. But I'm telling you right now, I know there are going to be running backs that we like later on. Andrews goes at the 310. We are really... before Kyle Pitts, that's the first time that I've ever seen Andrews go in the third round in one of these drafts. Cooper Kupp was the guy that we've been eyeing down for the past like 6 picks now. So we are going to get our guy in Cooper Kupp. And then from here, we're gonna take a receiver. It's just who do we get left at with a receiver? Okay, so when Swift goes, Godwin's someone I actually have ranked over Tyler Lockett, but when I think we have a loaded wide receiver room like this, instead of getting the high floor of a Chris Godwin that I would actually prefer to start on a week-to-week basis, instead it would probably make more sense to get a Tyler Lockett in here, someone that's probably going to see more spike weeks. It definitely is hard because I do love me some Chris Godwin. Oh my God, this is tough. This is tough. We're just going to take Tyler Lockett. It's a tough pick. His ADP is way before then. We're going to start this draft off with 4 receivers. And yes, this looks tough, but trust me, guys. Trust me on this one. We're going to get running backs that we like falling back to us. This is a league where you have to start 3 receivers. You have a flex at the same time. So we're still filling out our starting lineup. We haven't taken someone that's going to be on our bench yet. And then we're still going to be able to go in, get a running back 1, running back 2 later on. We can backfill guys that we think have high upside if anything it changes in their situation. We're going for the highest ceiling possible to get the $100,000 prize here. I know a lot of people probably wanted us to go with either a Chris Carson, a DeAndre Swift, a David Montgomery. I understand. I hear you out on that. But no, my dudes, we're going to go with a Lockett. Okay, Party Till Shot says, how much will the draft be with Scissors? I've not heard from Scissors. Looks like he has left the chat. So approximately $0.0 USD because it sounds like it may not happen. Sounds like it may not happen, my dude. So my dreams of running and calling all my friends after this, telling them that are dead. Actually, Scissors shot us a DM. He says, get me in that draft, my guy. Okay, we're going to get in a draft with Scissors after this. This is going to be exciting. And this could be a treat just for the live stream right here because I'm probably not going to go through and I'm not going to use his name to promote the channel or anything because that would honestly be kind of crappy in my opinion. So let's go through and I'll tell him we'll get it set up. But anybody out in this live chat right now, this is the party you're here for. This is why you subscribe to the channel. This is why you drop a like on the live stream. We are getting a random live draft here with FaZe Scissors. And nobody's really going to know about it outside of my friends that I'm going to call after this draft and tell them, and outside of the people that were in this live stream right now. This is why you're subscribed to the channel. This is why you're dropping likes. Nothing else is happening like this anywhere else with fantasy football. This is crazy. Okay, so we just shot Scissor DM, says we'll get a $10 draft going. And so for the love of God, let's remember to send him that DM. If we get a $10 draft going and I send that out in the live chat before I send it to him. So stick around, guys. Y'all be able to get in the draft with them. So it's going to be Scissors, me, and then 10 of y'all. If y'all don't know who Scissors is, guys, he's literally one of the biggest YouTubers there is. He has 4.5 million subscribers. He's a part of FaZe. This is a big deal. This is a really big deal. Okay, we're not going to do a $250 draft with him because it's a $250 public league, so we can't set up a private draft because then he could just join the public lobby, then everybody would be in the public lobby, and we wouldn't even necessarily be able to get in for sure. So we're just going to have to go through, and we're going to get a $10 draft going. Yannick says, you should definitely promote the fact that you're drafting with Scissors. I feel like that would be a crappy thing for me to do, to be honest. Yes, it would help the channel a lot, but I don't, I'm telling you right now, if Scissors wanted to come out and if he wanted to reach out to a fantasy football channel and said, hey, give me $5,000 and I'll draft with you and you can live stream it and you can promote it everywhere, someone would pay him $5,000. That's how valuable having his name in the title is. So it would be very, it would be very disrespectful for me to just go through and change the title drafting with Scissors. It would be very disrespectful for me to do that. Okay, so now we have Kyler Murray going at the 508. Is this a team that took a quarterback earlier on? Okay, no, they didn't take a quarterback. I was wondering if they double dipped on QB when they already had Kyler. We're getting PTSD from the last draft. But if y'all want to see people, if y'all want more people to come out here and see us drafting with Scissors, guys, what you need to do is I'm not going to promote it in the title of the live stream. You need to go down there and drop a like on the live stream, though. Drop a like on the live stream. If you are ever going to, I swear to God, it better be now. I swear to God, it better be now because let's get this live stream popping. Let's get this going. This is, oh my God. I may yell at my brother from the other room to come in here and look at this. This is going to be crazy. Oh my God, guys. Okay, so we take Josh Jacobs. This is a big reason why we decided to wait on running back. I mean, we still are able to get Josh Jacobs here. And to be honest, we're going to go with Jamar Chase. We're getting Jamar Chase as our wide receiver 5. I know we look crazy, but we're getting running backs that we like later on. And receiver, we know wide receiver is going to soak up. We know wide receiver is going to soak up. Okay, so now let's go through and see what this is. Okay, so we get a Jamar Chase there. Javonte Williams goes at the 603. So Javonte going at the 603 is slightly surprising. Like, we actually ended up seeing Javonte Williams fall to the end of the 6th round in the last draft where we got Javonte Williams at the 610. So yeah, it's definitely not going to be a spot where we are going through and being able to see him fall to us again. Obviously, we knew when we passed on him there. But the thing is, like, out of this entire tournament, how many teams have actually been able to draft a Jamar Chase at the 602? You know what? I want to leave this draft real quick. Scissors says he's taking Ben DiNucci first overall. Okay, my man. I honestly kind of want to end this. If this was a $10 draft right now, I would have guaranteed you that I would have scooted my ass out of here and I would have bailed and we would have started up the new draft already. It's hard for me to bail on a $250 draft though. $250 obviously is a pretty big buy-in for us. Okay. So now let's go after this. And we got Smith at the 606, Cortland Sutton. Okay, so A.M. Carter here loading up on receivers just like we are. And Scissors, serious question real quick. Have you gotten in an Underdog draft before? Have you done Underdog before? If not, like, I don't know if you're just like a regular fantasy football player, like you've gotten in a fantasy football draft with your friends, or have you actually tried out Underdog before? Because definitely make sure you sign up for Underdog right now if you have not already, because they do have to do like a identity check just to make sure that you're like a real person. It takes, in my instance, it took like 3 or 4 minutes. So make sure you go through and make sure you sign up for Underdog. I don't know if you played on Underdog already. And guys, if anybody here doesn't know, I hate to do a live plug. Scissors says he's done like 30 Underdog drafts. Mind blown right now. My mind is literally blown. Okay. So Scissors, I apologize for having to do this with the live stream, but we have to take advantage of this, guys. If you have yet to already, the number one thing that you can do to support this channel is use promo code FLOCK. When you use promo code FLOCK and sign up for Underdog Fantasy, where it's my favorite place to draft, Scissors says he's done like 30 of these drafts so far. I mean, you are getting $25 added to your account with promo code FLOCK. You're getting my 2021 Fantasy Football Draft Guide. You're getting my 2021 rankings. You're getting my 2021 tiers. So please make sure you sign up for Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK. Come out, and it's probably never going to happen again. At least I'm assuming. I would love for it to, but maybe it doesn't happen again. No promises, of course. But if you would have done this a week ago, and you went, you know what? Yeah, Mason's deserved it. Mason's worked hard. Let's sign up with promo code FLOCK to Underdog Fantasy. Let's get this thing going. And then Scissor says he used promo code FLOCK to sign up. That's all you need to know, guys. If you would have done that a week ago, and if you would have been a good Samaritan, or if you do that right now, the next draft, you could get in a draft with Scissors. And I mean, I know Scissors isn't a big deal. Like, he's not big time or anything, but you know who is big time? This guy right here. I hit 33,000 subscribers on YouTube last week, guys. 33 big ones. Big ones, boys. So I know not that many people want to get in a draft with Scissors, but come on, guys. I know y'all want to get in a draft with me at the very minimum. Okay, so now we have Corey Davis, Will Fuller, Michael Gallup, Deebo Samuel. Okay, so Trey Sermon goes to the 705. So imagine how much I would be running victory laps. Like, my life would be perfect right now if we were getting some Trey Sermon falling to us at the end of the 7th round. Well, let's pull this up real quick. Now we have Kareem Hunt going at the 706. Y'all know I was wanting Kareem Hunt. That was the other team that had loaded up on a receiver before. Now these teams here, like you have Klatt with only 3 receivers. So maybe Chase Edmonds goes, Justin McChann goes, Myles Gaskin. Okay, so let's see where Matt's going to go. He goes Damian Harris. So we are put in a difficult spot here where we are probably going to do something that I'm fine with. And if I was just drafting in a league that wasn't on a live stream, I would be honestly, I don't want to say happy with it, but I would just be rolling no problem. The problem is we're on a live stream, and I know y'all are going to be screaming at me. That's the problem. Okay, so Fox M is on the clock. Let's see what he decides to go with. And yeah, we just got a little bit of a running back run. What sucks is, I mean, we don't have the chance to take any of these players. Like, seriously? Now, y'all know I'm not a fan of Raheem Mostert. So the question is, do we get running backs we like falling to us? You can make fun of me. Make fun of me all you want. Bring it. Feel free to get those insults coming in. I don't care. I don't care, guys. Okay, Logan Thomas goes at the 7-12. Michael Pittman. Okay, this is what we kind of did. We actually kind of decided that based on this team not necessarily having the wide receiver depth, that they were probably going to go with the receiver. So we are going to get Raheem Mostert actually as our running back too, even though I don't love him. At this point, we have to. At this point, we have to. So don't hate me on that one. Jaden coming out with the donation says, FaZe times Flock collab. Need to see you all in the FaZe boys hop in a draft with you. That obviously that would be fantastic, guys, but speaking realistically, that's not something that I doubt happens. It would be awesome, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Tonight's already fantastic, even if that's not happen. Tonight's already fantastic, guys. We don't need to be worrying about that. But Justin Machan here going Kyler, Dak, Justin Herbert. I mean, that is no bueno, in my opinion. Okay, I think that at this point, I mean, this is a team that only has Amari and Deontay Johnson, a receiver. I think you definitely need to go through and you need to get double receiver here. Okay, so Michael Thomas goes at the 8:06. Okay, so what I'm probably going to do, to be honest, is I'm going to probably get 3 more rounds out in this draft, and then we're going to set up the draft with scissors. It's ridiculous. Like, my brain is broken. A $250 draft should have my attention fully, but knowing that we have this on the horizon, I can't sit here for another 30 minutes and do this, guys. It's not happening. So after I make back-to-back picks here, probably in the 9th, 10th round, we're probably going to get that next draft set up with scissors. So we're going to go through and get this going, and I'll send the scissors. I will DM you that link on Twitter after I get my next 2 picks in here, and we'll get that draft going. I'll just move this to another monitor, and I'll be drafting it as we focus on the other one. And guys, this is what I was talking about when we go wide receiver early. I promise you, the receivers that we're going to see go off in the 8th round here, they're not going to be that great. They're not going to be great. We're going to see some of these other guys just fall down at running back, whereas with receivers, they're not necessarily players that are just plentiful in a format like this. I promise you, the position eventually runs dry. The position runs dry. And Robert says, wait, Mason just actually drafted Raheem Mostert. Yes, I did, because this is honestly kind of like a build that we would need him in. Like, my problem with Mostert is a lot of people draft him as their running back like 3 and 4. And I'm saying at that point, what the hell is he doing for you? I mean, obviously you're going to be starting your top end guys that you got at the very top. Like, if you started to draft off Barkley, Jonathan Taylor, then you got Josh Jacobs, and then you draft Raheem Mostert, you're running back 4 in the 8th round. I'm sitting there like, I mean, you can't even start him at the beginning of the season. By the time we get to the bye weeks, Trey Sermon's going to be the starter there. Like, what exactly did you do? Whereas now, I mean, I think that it's going to be a little bit better here. And Matt said, okay, everybody's saying that they want a higher league buy-in with scissors. Okay, if scissors is in the chat right now, scissors, you say the league buy-in and we can do it. You say the league buy-in and we can do it. Let me look up what Underdog offers as a 12-team private draft. Because I know they changed it up. If scissors is in the chat still, do you want a $10 draft? I honestly don't even need to put you on the spot like this. I don't need to put you on the spot like that. Okay. So we have some more receivers going off here. And now we are probably going to double tap running back. We could get a tight end. We could definitely get a tight end here. And okay, I saw a question asking how many leagues we were in. Guys, the answer to that question is too damn many. And honestly, I think we're going to take Noah Fant. We don't have a tight end so far, and we're going to be in a spot where I think that, I mean, just with those other options, we've discussed this before, but I think the tight end landscape has gotten worse overall, where maybe Noah Fant's a slightly more exciting pick. So let's go with a Noah Fant here. I mean, I know that we were taking him over some running backs that project to score a lot of points. But I mean, Ronald Jones and Zach Moss are in the same exact tier for me here. Based on the build that this team has so far, they can't draft both running backs. So we're going to get a guy falling to us no matter what. Scissor says as high as you want, as long as it will fill the draft. Okay, we'll get a $100 draft going with Scissors, guys. We'll get a $100 draft going. So just make sure you've signed up for Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK. Zach Moss does go. So it's going to be an easy pick of Ronald Jones. I do prefer Zach Moss over Rojo, but I already have him in a ton of leagues. Okay, so I'm going to move this over real quick and let me shoot that DM over to Scissors. First, I'm going to set up a $100 league. Of course, I need to kind of just rearrange some things on the monitor because I'm going to have to now be drafting a team on the side. Okay, so let me move that over. Let me set up. We're going to get a $100 draft going. We're going to get a $100 draft going. And Scissors, I'm sending you that DM over right now with the link to the draft. And then once you join, I will send it out in the live chat. Once you join, I'll send it out in the live chat. Okay, so we just sent that over there. Now let me pull up Underdog on this. Okay, so it looks like Scissors is in. So yeah, Scissors looks like he definitely plays on Underdog. I mean, he got in the draft like that, didn't have to deposit anything. Okay, so yeah, we're going to go through and, okay, boys, this is like, I don't want to say this is the biggest day ever on the channel. It may be though. It may be. We're going to send this link out right now. This is a $100 draft that we are going to be doing with Scissors. Let's get this going. Okay, I'm sending this out. The first 11 people to click on the link, you're in. And let me go over, and there are only going to be 10 of y'all that get in this because obviously there's me, there's Scissors, and I'm just kind of all over the place right now. Let me just make sure that we have everything pulled up how we need to. Okay, we have everything pulled up how we need to. Okay, so we are sent that out, and I'm sending it out in the live chat right now, guys. Just sent out the link to the $100 draft. And let's get this going. Let's get this going. I would imagine that this fills pretty quickly. I'd imagine that this fills quickly. If it doesn't, we got problems. If it doesn't, we got problems. Scissor says he'll try not to embarrass himself. I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to it. Christian says, Mason, play me. Okay, big fella, I sent the link out in the live chat. You got a chance to get into a $100 draft right now. And okay, so did I send that right link out? Okay, so it looks like this draft, for whatever reason, is... Okay, Scissors, let's leave this draft. Okay, so now we're going to be back on the other one. Okay, so Scissors, we actually may have to leave this draft right now. I have no idea why that happened. Okay, Scissors, leave that draft. You know, Underdog puts that money right back in your account. It puts it back literally instantaneously. So instead, I'm going to get, let's just get a $10 draft going like we were talking about. Okay, let me, probably shouldn't have left that. Oh my God, I may be so dumb. Okay, so that link wasn't working. So Scissors, definitely leave that draft and I'm going to get a new link out. I have no idea why that link wasn't working. I'm sorry, guys. That has never happened. That has literally never happened to us before on Underdog Fantasy. Talk about, we've done hundreds of these drafts and that's never happened. Talk about the worst timing humanly possible. I'm getting another one set up. I am 100% getting another one set up. This is may be one of the most stressful things ever. Maybe it was just the fact that it was, let's just try a $50 draft. I don't know why that $100 link wasn't working. That has never happened before, literally ever. I was feeling weird because usually when we send out a link to fill a draft, it fills instantaneously. And then all of a sudden nobody was joining. And I was like, okay, well, clearly something's off here. Okay, so let me I'm sending you a new one, Scissors. Okay, so he said he's left that one. Okay, perfect. Okay, so we just sent that over to you. Again, once Scissors is in this new draft, I will send the link out to y'all. This one's going to be a $50 draft. This one's going to be a $50 draft. I don't want to bother with the $100 draft again. $50 draft, $100 draft. It's essentially the same thing. It's the same thing, pretty much. I mean, we're drafting with Scissors on a live stream. Y'all are going to get to draft with them. At least 10 of y'all, of course. But okay, everybody screaming at us to keep it 100. Yes, we're moving it down to 50. I just want to make sure the link works. I want to make sure the link works. $50 draft. We sent this out. Okay, so we sent out the $50 draft link because I am confident that that one is going to work. And hopefully it does. Please, for the love of God, tell me that's working. Okay, thank God. We get people. Yeah, that's going to fill ASAP. Okay, here we go. We are getting this draft underway. And let's see what I'm assuming. We get the 109. Okay, so we have some irregulars to the channel out here. Let's pull up the board. So we are drafting next to Scissors. Scissors is here at the 111. The spotlight on him, the pressure on. We got some irregulars out to the channel. We got Party Till She's Hot. We got Rummy Rams. We got D-Wade. D-Wade's been out here a lot. We got Caden. We got Debo. And we got some new people out in the stream as well. This is going to be an exciting draft, guys. This is going to be a very exciting draft. And okay, I mean, I don't even know what to say. Let me read the chat right here. Let me read the chat. And guys, if that link didn't work for you, it's simply because the draft got filled way too fast. That's what it was. It's that, sadly, I mean, you probably had to click on that in 0.01 seconds. If your internet was not the best internet on the planet, you probably didn't get in. And I apologize for that. But there's nothing else I can do about it. We only had 10 spots to give away in this draft. So, okay. Yeah. So, yeah, this is exciting. This is exciting. Okay, so Christian McCaffrey goes at the 101. And at some point, I'm gonna have to take a picture of this draft at some point with my phone. So if you see me whip my phone out in this live stream, you know why. You know why. Ricardo says, who is Scissors? Scissors is actually an inspiring YouTuber. Like, he reached out to me a couple days ago and was like, you know what, Mason? I just hit my 50th subscriber on YouTube. I really love what you're doing. You have such great content. One day I would hope to be half as good as you are. And I was like, well, you know what? I maybe can take you under my wing. I have a lot of experience. I have a significantly larger following to you. I usually don't reply to people that have such small followings. Like, usually it's not that big of a deal for me. But you know what? I felt like, let's be a good guy here. Let's go out and do something good for the universe. Like, I mean, you've heard of Karma before. So I figured to let him come in. He's an inspiring YouTuber. I mean, you can look him up. His name is FaZe Scissors. He's a part of this FaZe group. I don't know if y'all have heard it. I don't know if it's FaZe or FaZe, something along those lines. But I mean, I don't exactly know what it is. I just know he's an inspiring YouTuber. I'm wishing him the best. Like, hopefully one day he can make it. Okay, so Christian says, I have the best internet and it didn't work. You do that. Christian, can someone mute that, man? And Jayan says, that's not the case, Mason. You can hit it too soon. Okay, so apparently you can hit the link too soon if it gets sent. I don't know how that works out. All I know is, I mean, we sent it out. We got 10 people in here, no problem. Now, Scissors is on the clock here at the 111. Now, the pressure is on. Let's see where he's going. He goes, Jonathan Taylor. He gets one of our guys at the 111. Okay, love that pick. Obviously, love that pick. I mean, y'all know I actually made a video today talking about why Jonathan Taylor, I think, is going to outscore Derrick Henry in PPR formats. Okay, so Austin Eckler, Scissors back on the clock. Let's see what he does here. So just go running back, receiver, running back, running back. Okay, come on. Let's check this out. I got some people in the chat says, LOL, hopefully Scissors makes it big one day. Hopefully he makes it big. I'm rooting for him. I'm rooting for the guy. He seems like a good guy. So he literally has our dream start, like a crusher right here. Y'all, anybody in the live chat knows I'm not kissing ass right now. Everybody knows that this is exactly what I like to start with, going with a Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley. Now let's move this over really quick and let's look at where we're going to go. You know what? Let's follow the lead. Let's go running back for the spirit of things here. Let's go Aaron Jones, Nick Chubb. Let's put it in. Let's follow the lead. Let's go running back. Okay, so Antonio Gibson goes to the 205. Gibson, I actually have ranked ahead of Nick Chubb. If I pull up my exposures right now, I just have Nick Chubb. And oh my God, I haven't been looking at the $250 draft. Oh my God, what has happened in the $250 league? Got Rashad Bateman and Evan Ingram auto to us. Ooh, that is tough. Darren Waller at the 208s. Okay, so and Devontae Adams, A.J. Brown, George Kittle goes at the 210. Caden says, come on, Mason, you picked Chubb that early. Guys, I have Nick Chubb. I don't have Nick Chubb anywhere. Can we just focus in on Scissors draft right now? We don't need to focus in on mine, okay? I'm not focusing in on mine. Okay, so now we have Mixon, Dalvin, CMC, Clyde, Edwards-Helaire. Okay, so Kittle, I mean, you are seeing those tight ends just go earlier and earlier at this point. And I think it's right. I think that those elite tight ends should be put up. Okay, so Keenan Allen at 302. And y'all know, you know exactly what we're doing here in the third, fourth round. We're going receiver in the third, fourth. That's what we do almost every single time. Okay, so Gibson, Allen Robinson goes at the 304. Okay, so D Wade out here. This is a big day for us, guys. We have Faye Scissors in the draft right now, and we have Dwayne Wade. We've already talked about Dwayne Wade literally trying to be an intern for the Fantasy Football Network. It didn't work out. Scissors, if you want to send in your resume to be a possible intern for the Fantasy Football Network, I'm looking for like well-rounded individuals and everything. I can check it out. There's a long line. D Wade, I'm assuming this is Dwayne Wade, at least. Keep in mind, I don't have confirmation that it's D Wade, but if you name yourself D Wade, you probably have to be Dwayne Wade. We do have a long line for potential interns, but you can maybe squeak your way in. Okay, but now we're going to be back up on the clock, and yeah, we're going to make a quote-unquote reach here. I don't care that's a reach. Possibly we should have just gone DeAndre Hopkins in the second round. That's what we should have done. Instead, we're going to go with a Chris Godwin here in the third. Let's go Godwin in the third. We had a massive run on wide receivers so far in the third round. I know David Montgomery is a fantastic value there, but I am afraid to get caught on the wrong side of the the wide receiver run. And in the fourth round also, there are going to be some running backs that we could look at just like David Montgomery. Everybody freaking out that I picked Nick Chubb over Antonio Gibson. Yes, guys, I also have a million drafts with Antonio Gibson. I have very few with Nick Chubb. Christian says, are you kidding? Yes, guys, I'm kidding. Dwayne Wade is not in this draft. Scissors goes. Okay, Scissors makes the first pick that I'm like, okay, let's see how this works out. He goes with a Patrick Mahomes at the 311. Let's figure it out. Let's see what ends up happening after here. I think once Godwin is off the board, the receiver position does get a little thinner. And okay, we're about to be up on the $250 draft as well. So let me pull this up over here. Okay, so Lockett goes at the 312. Okay, so it looks like Scissors may be in a difficult spot with what he's going to do at receiver. Scissors says he's been in a decent amount of these underdog drafts before, so I'm assuming that he's probably comfortable with what he can find with the receivers in the middle rounds. So I guess you do have like a Julio Jones available to you at the 402. At least that's what I would personally be thinking. Maybe he goes with a running back. Maybe he goes with a very hyper-fragile build. Yeah, you do. You have a DJ Moore as well. He goes James Robinson. Okay, Scissors out here starting heavy running back. Heavy running back. Taylor, Barkley, and a James Robinson. Okay, so now let's figure out where we may be going. If he's starting heavy running back, do we just play follow the leader here? Okay, we're on the clock in the 250, and we're going to take DJ Moore at receiver. Really easy pick. We plan on going receiver here. Yeah, so we're going to go Godwin and a DJ Moore. Scissors. I will say, man, I think this is going to be hard to come back from. I'm imagining, based on how these wide receiver runs happen, I could be wrong here. I'm imagining it may be hard. We'll figure it out. Okay, but also over here, we're probably just going to end up having to take that $250 draft. I've almost completely punted. God, that team does not look that good right now. We just took Daniel Jones in the 16th round. Okay, so now Josh Allen goes to the 405. Josh Allen, completely fine seeing him go off the draft board. I mean, when we pass on to Stephon Diggs, not necessarily going to be considering Josh Allen in this draft. Wrong button, meant to pull up the live chat. Let me pull up the live chat real quick. JN says 0-1 in the milli. Let's go. Big night for the flock. JN gets the 101. Happy to see that, my man. And Scissors says, I like taking wide receiver early, but I'll take my chances with running back. Okay, so let's go through and let's see what he's doing. Okay, so we got some people in the chat. JN out here says you're going to make an enemy to JN. I'll tell you, JN is a heavy. Okay, so Scissors says he panicked and took Patrick Mahomes. Okay, so I'm just interested to see how this plays out. I am very interested. Because I will say this is what I was doing a lot whenever I first started drafting on Underdog, but I felt like so many receivers were getting pushed up in like rounds 9 and 10 that we weren't necessarily that excited with, that we kind of had to push them up earlier in the draft board so we didn't get suckered into that range later on. Like it's a little bit different where if you're playing like on a regular fantasy football platform there, like going running back heavy and like getting a Mahomes here isn't a big deal. It's just so different on Underdog with the way it functions in these drafts with wide receivers kind of getting just moved all over the board. Okay, so now Lamar Jackson at the 411, Kyler Murray. Okay, so you do have those elite quarterbacks getting pushed up in this draft. You have Lamar, Kyler going at the 411 and the 412 here. Okay, so this is maybe, I'm not joking. This is, I think, maybe the first draft I've seen in a very long time that's had all these quarterbacks go off because I've been seeing a lot, more and more, especially when you get closer to the season, more of these elite quarterbacks go in the top 4 rounds. But usually you at least get like one of these guys, like a Kyler or Lamar falling to the middle of the 5th. Okay, so Mark Andrews. Okay, so here you have Party Till She's Hot taking away the stack that they could have had with a Lamar Jackson and a Mark Andrews at the 411, 502. Okay, so that is, I'd imagine that's demoralizing for Rummy Rams. And then Brandon Ayuk does go at the 502. Me the Damn says 30 seconds is a short amount of time. I'd panic too. Yeah, no, 30. I will say, guys, I've said this before. I know a lot of y'all on the live stream have already heard me say this. One thing that I actually like about Underdog Fantasy is the 30-second timer, where when I first started drafting, like my first 20 drafts or so, especially doing a live stream at the same time, it was pretty tough going through and just getting like the rhythm down and making sure you're getting your draft picks in time. And at the same time, still just being completely fine with going through and finding value in the draft. But once you get used to the 30-second timer, it becomes second nature. I mean, it gets to the point where we did a Dynasty Patreon draft yesterday, I want to say. Like, it seems like it was so long ago, but I think it was yesterday. And it was like a 60-second timer. And there it was, I mean, unbearable how slow it was just dragging by. Okay. So here, actually, I think we're probably going to go with the tight end. Let's get a TJ Hawkinson here. I mean, you have Mark Andrews going at the beginning. I don't necessarily love what we're going to get with tight ends later on. So let's go Aaron Jones, Nick Chubb, Chris Godwin, DJ Moore, TJ Hawkinson to start this draft. Hawkinson was actually consistently going at like the end of the 5th, the beginning of the 6th, earlier in drafts. Now you are getting him pushed up slightly. Like you're seeing more and more late 4th round, early 5th round, Mark Andrews and TJ Hawkinson. So Scissors goes with LaVisca. Scissors is a Visca truther out here. You love to see it going with LaVisca Chenault. Now we are on the clock in the $250 draft. We got auto pick Latavius Murray. Oh my God. That team is dead. It is what it is. It is what it is, guys. Okay, so now Yay Sports is on. I don't think we've seen Yay Sports in a draft with us before. I think this is honestly maybe a new name. So Darrell Henderson goes at the 512. Okay, come on. I don't even know what we're maybe we're wanting like, I don't want to say anything right now. Let's see what Scissors does. I just don't want to give away my pick when we're going to be just up in like 3. Okay, Jamar Chase goes at the 601. Okay, so Scissors is on the clock. And guys, if you are just now joining the live stream, yes, and I'm not joking. Y'all know, like over the past few live streams, I've been joking that this is Dwayne Wade. This is legitimately FaZe Scissors in the draft with us right now if you're just now joining. If you were just now joining, this is legitimately face scissors. He double taps receiver with LaVisca and Robbie Anderson here. Okay, so I think that's exactly what you kind of have to do when you go with that many running backs at the very top. So now actually I think that we're going to go with between Javonte Williams and Kareem Hunt, like in the tournament style that we actually just drafted in there, I probably do prefer Javonte Williams because there he can actually have that breakout for the fantasy football playoffs. However, if we're looking for someone to score points throughout the entire season, possibly we just go with a Kareem Hunt here. Yeah, let's get Kareem Hunt as our running back 3. And my God, boys, I butchered this. I butchered it. Oh my God. This is talking about real pressure situations, and we're crumbling. We are crumbling like a muffin you left in your backpack. This is not a great situation whatsoever. Literally, we have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt on the same team. I know a lot of people think that's like next level fantasy football knowledge. That's what you need to be doing. That's bad strategy. That's bad strategy. And we actually went out there and we did it. Usually, I never even have to consider, do we need to worry about having Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt on the same roster? Because usually I never draft Nick Chubb. I mean, but I guess that's what it is. That's what it is, guys. Okay, so now we have Javonte at the 607. So yeah, what we should have done in hindsight there is we should have gone Javonte Williams. We should have gone Javonte Williams at the 604, knowing that we had Nick Chubb on this team. They're in the same tier for us. That was a massive mistake, guys. I made a massive mistake here. And guys, also, if you have not subscribed to the channel yet, make sure you go down there, hit that subscribe button. It helps us out so much, guys. It helps us out so much. Okay, so Deebo Samuel goes at the 6'11", Devonta Smith at the 6'10". Scissors says, LOL, I crumbled and took James Robinson and LaVisca. I guess I'm a Jags fan. I'll say, I actually think it's fine taking both Robinson and Visca because at that point you are kind of just going through, and I'm not saying this to kiss ass. I mean, literally asking anybody. I've said this a million times because you're making a bet on the overall offense. Like the problem with us taking Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt's not that they're both on the Browns. It's more so they're both playing the running back position on the Browns. I'm completely fine even having 2 receivers from the same team because if you're making a bet on 2 receivers from the same team, you're essentially going through and you're saying, well, this passing offense is going to be up pace. This passing offense is going to have more volume than most people expect. The quarterback is definitely going to be someone that you also need on that team. And we're almost willing to say the same thing with receivers and running backs there, where I don't necessarily want to be going outwardly and targeting that, but you definitely don't need to be avoiding it. Where the problem is, like when we take Kareem Hunt a lot in drafts, I'm essentially drafting Kareem Hunt going, he's going to be a low-end running back 2, high-end running back 3 any week that Nick Chubb is hurt. But if Nick Chubb goes down, then we're expecting Kareem Hunt to come out and all of a sudden just be a top 5 running back, top 10 running back in fantasy. But the problem is when we draft them on the same team of Nick Chubb, if Nick Chubb goes down, this team's probably dead anyway. So I'll say, I mean, taking both Jags on the same team, and trust me, man, I'm not saying this to kiss ass. It's not that big of a deal, but taking both running backs on the same roster, that's pretty bad to be honest. Okay. So I probably just, in that $250 draft, if someone pulls up my draft board right now, they are probably going to be laughing at me, but it is what it is. We got more important things going on. Take Quintus Cephas as our last guy there. We'll exit out of that. Okay, so let's move this down. Okay, so we are going to be back up on the clock. Okay, so now I think we can go with the receiver. I don't love Courtland Sutton, but the thing is, we're going to be playing in so many of these leagues. We have to be diversifying. We have to be at least paying attention to ADP. So we're going to go with a Courtland Sutton here. I guess we could have considered Rodgers, knowing that we did already have Aaron Jones on this team, and we would be building in that bet on the overall Green Bay Packers offense. But I mean, it is what it is at this point. Maybe we get Rodgers coming back. I mean, Scissors did take Mahomes at the 311, so that's one less team we have to be worried about taking a quarterback between our 2 selections. So maybe we can spin it that way, that we know Scissors really can't go with an Aaron Rodgers at either one of these selections. So we only have to worry about dodging the Rodgers pick at these 4. He goes Juju. I'm going out on a limb here, and I'm saying that Scissors watches the channel. Scissors watches these videos. He's not just randomly popping here in a live stream. JN comes out and says, A, he's not in a tournament style, so how late you draft people isn't as crucial. B, he says he likes wide receiver early, so I approve. Let's see how he likes UT. Okay. I'm confused here. I'm confused. JN, I am confused right here. We got Joseph out here in the chat We have Overcome coming out with a donation. Thank you, my man says. What if I have Chubb as my running back 2 and I trade for Hunt to put on the bench at running back 3, Kamara's running back 1? No, don't do that, man. I promise you right now, like I literally did it on this draft and I'm the first one to be willing to admit my mistakes. It was a mistake rostering both Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt on the same team. Yeah, so Scissors going through and just bringing in these receivers. Keep in mind, it's a best ball format, so he doesn't have to go through and decide when he is starting these guys. I mean, just their best weeks automatically slide into his starting lineup. Okay, so now we did end up seeing Aaron Rodgers go at the 7-12. So yeah, that does hurt for us. It is what it is, though, and I think we can go through and probably just take another receiver here. Because we only have 3 receivers on this team. I mean, this is probably one of our worst drafts so far, to be honest. I mean, let's just take Mike Williams here. I know Michael Pittman is rising now that it looks like Carson Wentz is going to be good to go week 1. But going back to the fact that we don't have to submit our starting lineup, in a format like that, I actually do like a Mike Williams significantly more, because with the Mike Williams, this is someone that you are actually seeing that he can go through and, I mean, see those spike weeks. Okay, so let me pull this up right now. Let's go back to this. And now we got Mike Williams, McCole Hardman, Jalen Waddle. Okay, so now I'm assuming that we're probably going to get a little bit of a receiver run. Obviously, you do have some running backs that you like in this range. I mean, we actually just got a Ronald Jones in that last $250 draft. Pretty late considering where he goes here at the 807. But this is also a team that decided to go and take a ton of receivers early. Like if we go and we look at what Debo's done so far, I mean, they got Kelsey in the first. From there, I mean, this is a fantastic team. They get Hopkins, Amari, Thielen, Claypool, Javonte, Ronald Jones, Michael Gallup. I mean, that is really good. That's really good. Okay, so let's scroll this down just slightly. Most at the 810. Mike says 107 is super stacked. Yes, sir. We just got done looking at that 107. I'll agree. That 107 is really good. This is probably one of the worst drafts I've ever had, to be honest. Oh my God. This is one of the worst drafts we've ever had. Pittman falls all the way to the 810 to Rummy Rams. Okay, so now I guess we could also, the big thing is, if we're going to be talking about potentially stacking with our wide receivers here, like if we're going to be looking at quarterbacks we could bring in later on, I mean, we could be looking at a Herbert in the following round. We could be looking at maybe Tom Brady in 2 rounds. So that's something that we do want to put a little bit just in the back of our minds, going, okay, well, if we're going to be drafting quarterbacks, maybe it's going to be those 2 guys that we're looking at. I would be surprised if a Justin Herbert fell to us, but who knows? Maybe it happens. Maybe it happens. Draynol says, you're sweating, bro. My man, I'm sweating every single time I do one of these live streams. Have you ever worn a suit for 4 hours with lights on you? It's not that easy, my dude. Not that easy. Luke says, Mason, look at running back buys. I know all my running backs have the same buy. I think they all have the same buy. I know that. I mean, we know that the Packers and the Browns are both on the same buy, and we ended up drafting Kareem Hunt, the same team we had Nick Chubb. What can I say? It was a mistake. Okay, now we have Tyler Higbee at the 902. Rummy Rams, of course. Rummy Rams always building a fantastic team here. And people informing us that Justin Herbert's gone. Yeah, so Justin Herbert, it looks like there's no way that we were going to get him. I don't even know what we were thinking. So Rummy Rams goes Dalvin Mixon with his top 2 running backs. From there, at receiver gets Keenan, Ayuk, Debo, Boyd, Pittman, has Lamar at QB, and Tyler Higbee at tight end. That is really strong. That's really strong there. Jaggy coming in with a donation question. And guys, I'm sorry if I'm all over the place. We literally have someone that I used to watch almost every single day on YouTube in our draft with us right now. Okay, so please cut me some slack, guys. Cut me some slack. We're a little all over the place. The previous drafts that we have done, we are way more put together. So if you really need some solid advice, you need to see some solid drafts, I'd go back and probably look at those, to be honest. But now we got Melvin Gordon going at the 907. We have 3 running backs here. It's not a big deal for us to continue to take them. We can end up drafting a Tom Brady because we do have a Chris Godwin on this team. So getting Brady at a value, getting him 9 picks behind his ADP on the same team we have Chris Godwin, I think that's going to be pretty advantageous. Now, Scissors is on the clock. Let's see if they go Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas is available to them. And they go Russell Gage. Okay, so I'm assuming they probably would have gone with a Michael Thomas if this was a spot where we had the fantasy football playoffs. But you have to remember that Michael Thomas is not as valuable in this format because you need points throughout the entire season. Russell Gage could be someone that is getting that role. I mean, he definitely does get a bump up in this exact format, considering that you aren't having to have the fantasy football playoffs, because, I mean, in a tournament style, I'm not necessarily expecting him to have that many spike weeks at the end of the year. Now, EA Sports, I think that they're honestly maybe auto picking at this point, because we have seen them go down to the very last second a decent amount of times here. Let me go through. Let me see if we can find that donation question from Jaggy. It says, what's the deal between Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz? Between Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz, okay, yeah, so Scissors, let's go through, and after I answer this question and make my next pick, we'll go through and look at Scissors' team. But Dallas Goedert, Zach Ertz, it looks like you are going to end up having a Dallas Goedert be the starting tight end there, but Zach Ertz is still going to get a lot of runs, so you do have to end up bumping down Dallas Goedert considerably in your rankings. From here, I think we probably draft another QB and then we're done at the position. We don't have any stacks, so let's just bring in Tannehill. I mean, Lance, going back to what we were saying, if we were going to be looking at a spot where, I mean, we had the fantasy football playoffs, I'm definitely willing to go with the Trey Lance. And running back, it's just a lot harder to go with when we have these three studs. Trust me, guys, I know they're on the same week bye, but I mean, we got way more rounds to go through and address the position with. So, yeah, we already, I think, answered the Dallas Goedert question. Let's look at Scissors' team. So far at running back, he has Taylor, Barkley, Robinson. He has Mahomes at QB. I will say, I honestly don't really like the start. I just think that you put yourself in a difficult spot at receiver. But from here, I don't know if you got lucky with the receivers that fell to you, but definitely, I mean, drag yourself out of that hole. I mean, very surprising to see how that was able to be done by going through and just kind of loading up, because you have to remember, you don't submit your starting lineup in a league like this. Instead, you are going through and just having the random spike weeks hit your starting lineup. So if you have like 6 receivers like that, I mean, you are going to be able to push together 3 wide receivers production, and you get James Robinson in the flex. So I don't like the start, to be honest, but I think considering where it's gone from the start, it's been really, really good. Thomas coming out to the chat right now says, drop a like, Thomas, my man. Did you see we have literally face Scissors in the draft right now? Guys, if y'all don't know, Thomas, you can see him down there in the chat. He's the moderator. He edits all of our videos. So please make sure y'all go and give Thomas a massive, massive thank you. Literally, I will send Thomas a video at like 8 p.m. Even later than that. I'll upload it sometimes on the file too. And I can guarantee you, like, Scissors probably will tell you that this is probably not something you should be doing on YouTube, and Thomas should hate me for this, but he doesn't. And instead, he makes the videos consistently regardless, and he makes all the thumbnails. Some days I will upload tomorrow's video at like 11 p.m., 12 p.m. Sometimes I upload it at midnight that night, and he has it done for y'all by the morning. So please give Thomas a massive thank you. Okay. Cody OG out in the chat. Yeah, Cody. I had to shoot you that text, my man. I had to shoot you that text. Okay, so we got Trey Lance, Matthew Stafford at the end of the first round. Very surprising to see both Trey Lance and Matthew Stafford falling this far. I mean, we have a couple other teams. We have a lot of teams just going wide receiver heavy here. It's going to be hard for myself to honestly maybe catch up at the receiver position. At this point, we definitely want to see these quarterbacks go off the draft board. Now, John coming out with the donation says Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Gus Edwards for Antonio Gibson, Javonte Williams, T. Higgins, or Deebo Samuel. Okay, so I'll say that we're definitely probably going to prefer the Antonio Gibson, Javonte Williams, and T. Higgins side. Okay, so Joe Burrow goes at the 11:01. Connor at the 11:02. This is what we want to see. We want to see these quarterbacks and running backs going, because I know that, I mean, yes, we have 3 running backs in the same buy and 3 running backs only, but I promise you we actually have a bigger hole at receiver here than we actually do at running back. I mean, just because we have those guaranteed touches at running back at the very top. And also, I mean, even if something were to happen, we do have Kareem Hunt. We have 2 running backs sliding into our starting lineup every single week, regardless, to be honest. Dallas Goedert goes at the 11:04. Okay, so now let's switch this back over. And from here, I guess we could consider a running back. A big thing, like just going back to what we were saying, and I know it's so boring for me to talk about it, but it's very important to bring up for this format, and not that many people who are truly understanding what we're trying to accomplish here. We are strictly trying to get the most points as humanly possible into our starting lineup. I mean, just throughout the entire season. It doesn't have to all come during the fantasy football playoffs. It's just accumulative throughout the entire season. And that's going to make like Michael Carter less valuable. The question is, how much less valuable does it make him? Because we know he doesn't have a role at the beginning of the year. You're more so betting that he makes that transition to being the starter halfway through the season. So now that Jamal Williams is off the board, Emmanuel Sanders goes as well. We can't look at quarterback. We're strictly running back, receiver, tight end. We already have Hawkinson at tight end, so I don't necessarily think that we need to reach on the position. So instead, I think that we're actually going to bring in a running back. I would feel so bad about bringing Carter in here. I know this pick looks horrendous according to ADP, and if we played in a league with the fantasy football playoffs, I'm taking Michael Carter, but here instead I'm taking Devin Singletary. We're taking Devin Singletary as our running back 4. And Gabriel Davis goes, scissors on the clock. I mean, he does not have a tight end so far. I'd imagine he most likely ends up going with a Jonnu Smith. Yeah, so he goes Jonnu Smith at the 11-11. Obviously, Jonnu getting a pretty big bump up now that Mac Jones is going to be the starter there. Mac Jones going to be vulturing less touchdowns away at the goal line. Mac Jones also not going to necessarily be looking to just lower the overall pace of play. I mean, we know that's kind of the strategy when you have one of those rushing quarterbacks that's very limited, like Cam Newton. We saw it with New Orleans doing the same thing with Taysom Hill, where they really jack down the pace of play and they go, okay, we're going to try to win this game with our defense. We're going to try to make this a little uglier, but we're still going to try to sneak out wins. I think with Mac Jones, they don't necessarily have to do that. I think that they can go and be a slightly, I don't want to say above average offense with their pace of play, but they don't necessarily have to be just projecting to be near the bottom of the league in that category. Now, I don't think I don't know if we can go with Michael Carter. I think that we honestly, like if we were to drop Michael Carter, I guess he could fit this build because we could bring in another running back that will cover the week 13 bye, and he should have the job by then. Scissors on the clock, taking it down to the last second where he goes Cole Beasley, takes the receiver that we would want. Now that we have the receiver that we would want off the board, Marquez Valdes-Scantling goes. Like the thing is, can we take a player 34 picks behind ADP over Michael Carter? Michael Carter usually goes like in the 10th, 9th round here. This has been by far and away my worst draft. We're going to go Michael Carter, and we're going to be done at running back. We're going to go Michael Carter and done at running back. Let's go through and, okay, I'm going to cover up this draft, and nobody look at the 109. The 109 does not exist in this draft right now. Instead, let's go through and let's look at the 111. This is going to be Scissors draft. He has Taylor, Barkley, Robinson at running back. You can tell that Scissors does a crap ton of these underdog drafts. Because like the start is like questionable, but usually the reason why the start's questionable in a league like this is because usually when you see teams like this in a public draft on Underdog, like they'll get these running backs at the beginning, they'll grab them at Mahomes. Usually like here in the 7th round, they're going, oh, okay, well, let's take someone like an A.J. Dillon. Let's grab an A.J. Dillon at this pick, not necessarily understanding that they already made those bets on the running backs at the top. So slams receiver from here. You can tell he does a lot of these Underdog drafts. That is crazy. Goes LaVisca, Robbie, Juju, Cooks, Gage, Thomas, Beasley at receiver. Gets Jonnu Smith at tight end. Now, at this point, what we are wanting to selfishly see is we are wanting to see a lot of quarterbacks and running backs go off the board. Quarterbacks and running backs go off the board. We need receivers falling to us. We are going to be desperate. We are going to be hungry, and we are just going to be trying to soak up every pick that we can there. Okay, so now let's go through. And also, guys, if you have not subscribed to the channel, make sure you subscribe. I mean, I don't know what else I can do to get you to subscribe. We're doing multiple $250 drafts every night. We're doing a draft with FaZe Scissors out here. FaZe Scissors is subscribed to the channel. You have no excuse not to be. You have no excuse not to be. And also, guys, make sure you use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. When you use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy, you get a couple things. This is where we're drafting right now. We're going to be drafting here very often. And when you use that promo code FLOCK and you make a $10 deposit on Underdog Fantasy, you get $25 added to your account. You get our 2021 rankings. You get our 2021 draft guide. You get our 2021 Dynasty Rookie Draft Guide. You get to come out, hop out into real money fantasy drafts with us. I love this. This is where we're drafting every single night. I love drafting here. And they're going to be doing stuff in the season as well. So make sure you take advantage, and there's nothing that supports this channel more. So please make sure you do that, my dudes. Now, James White at the 1301, J.D. McKissick at the 1302. Okay, so Sterling Shepard. Okay, so come on, get some more of these running backs going off. This is exactly like the kind of running back that we would never be able to draft now. Like, these guys are the high floor players for people that went through and they just decided to pass on the running back position at the beginning and they got wide receiver later on. Okay, so we get AJ Green at the 1305. Let's pull this up. And we can't take quarterback here either. So this draft board sucks. This is fallen to us, not how we wanted to whatsoever. Hopefully J-Lup grabs a quarterback. That's kind of our only hope here, because I don't think they grab a running back. Oh, they grab Tyson Williams. Very surprising. I probably do not like this team, seeing that they grab their 5th running back there. Yeah, I do not like that team. I do not like that team. I like a few things they're doing. I mean, they did bring in. Okay, so Madison goes, so that kind of helps us out. So I think at this point, we're so just hungry for wide receivers, we're going to draft Amara St. Brown. Like, we have to. I'm taking Amara St. Brown at the 1309. Obviously, gets a bump up with Rashad Perriman getting cut there. Let's go through, show off this draft. Tua Tagovailoa goes at the 1310. Definitely good for us. Let's see what Scissors is about to do. I think Scissors honestly can kind of go any way that he wants now. I mean, he did catch up at receiver. He has 3 running backs on this team. He goes Cole Kmet as his 2nd tight end. God dang. I wanted Cole Kmet falling back to us. I wanted Cole Kmet, but I think we had to go with Amara St. Brown to catch back up with receiver. Okay, so now after this, Yay Sports goes Hunter Henry. Okay, we're going to be maybe getting boxed out of tight end at the same time. Okay, Casey says, should I drop Nelson Aguilar for Devin Singletary? Yes, drop Nelson Aguilar for Devin Singletary. What are you talking about? Yes, sir. Mr. TD says, what is the FaZe Fantasy Football channel link? I will look up on YouTube. I do not think FaZe has fantasy football. There's like no way. No. Okay, I was going to say, if there's somehow like they made a fantasy football week, they made a fantasy football video this week or something that I didn't know about, and that's why Scissors was jumping in here. I was going to send the link out to it, but I was like, I don't think they've ever made a fantasy football video, but yeah, they haven't made anything this week, so they haven't done anything at all. Okay, so receiver, tight end. So receivers in this range, going back to what we were saying earlier, we have no playoffs, so Rashad Bateman's going to be a lot less interesting here. So instead, we're probably just going to grab Evan Ingram. We'll grab Ingram as our tight end too if he does not have the same buy as Hawkinson. He does not. So we're going to grab Ingram in the 14th, and our last 4 rounds are just going to be from receivers. Let's go through and let's show off this draft from the 109. So that's the 805. Moving down here. Jan coming out with the donation says, just got the CMC Kittle Ayuk Lance start at the 101. That is deadly, my man. That is deadly. And I imagine you have some other pretty good players in that team as well, because obviously they're not going with your first 4 picks. If they are going with your first 4 picks, we got a problem. Okay, so Watkins at the 1406, Byron Pringle, Giovanni Brown. This is what we need to see. Thank you, Caden. Thank you, Caden, for going out there and getting a running back off the board. Wait, so what did Scissors went with the Chuba Hubbard? So he's getting that elite running back upside now with a Chuba Hubbard. I actually have a video coming out tomorrow of talking about waiver wire running backs, and Chuba Hubbard's on that video. Okay, so Giovanni Bernard, Philip Lindsay. Bossman says, how do you keep up with your drafts? Okay, guys, if y'all are not familiar with Underdog Fantasy, one thing that I love about Underdog Fantasy, maybe obviously my favorite thing about Underdog, is actually that they do not require that you submit a starting lineup every week. You do not have to do waivers. Actually, once you do the draft, that is it. You never have to do any other activity with the league, because at the end of every single week, the highest possible starting lineup score gets submitted for you. So if you have like both an Amara St. Brown and a Mike Williams on this team, and you would start Mike Williams in your regular fantasy league, but in this league, you don't have to make that decision. And all of a sudden, if Amara St. Brown comes away with a Detroit game with 7 receptions, 57 receiving yards, and a receiving touchdown, he automatically slides into your starting lineup, and Mike Williams goes to your bench. So I don't have to commit any time to any of these teams during the season. So instead, I can focus in on the other leagues that I really care about. So yeah, because you can't be getting in 200 leagues and then all of a sudden have to do waivers and have to do starting lineups every single week. Or, I definitely wouldn't be able to have a YouTube channel, guys. That is just the facts. Noah says, what are your thoughts on Odell Beckham Jr., Mason? With Odell, my man, I think we could see some random spike weeks, definitely. Scissors says, I'll need to redeem myself in another draft sometime. Not content with my squad. My man, feel free to shoot me a DM anytime you're wanting to get in a draft. We're live drafting every single night. We will get some Underdog and mid-season stuff going, but I think it's not necessarily going to be like a full-on draft like this. So definitely, we're going to be live streaming. Today's Sunday, I think. Yeah, today's Sunday. So we'll be live streaming Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday night. I don't know if they're doing it Thursday night. We'll probably live stream during the day on Thursday. If you want any of those streams, any of those drafts, just shoot me a DM. I'll be happy to get you the link. Yeah, with Odell, oh my God. Y'all are really passing on quarterbacks like this. Y'all are just doing me dirty. But I think he could see some random spike weeks. So you actually like him in a format like this where you don't have to submit your starting lineup. Obviously, it's someone that just has an extremely low floor at this point. He has never been anything outside of a wide receiver 3 on a per game basis in Cleveland. And I know he has the talent. Trust me, I literally used to have an Odell Beckham Jr. New York Giants jersey behind us in the old studio. But at this point, it's just so hard seeing him go back to that old form. So let's get a Adami Brown coming in here as our wide receiver 6. In just an atrocious wide receiver room. Just a horrendous wide receiver room. Okay. So now, Scissors, if we're looking at this, he has Mahomes at QB, Taylor, Barkley, Robinson, Chuba, then a receiver, Visca. We'll see what he's doing right here. Tyler says, are all Underdog fantasy leagues full PPR? For whatever reason, it can't verify me when I try to sign up. I'll say, if you shoot them a DM, like their customer support, they'll be very fast to get that figured out for you. And so you actually have Scissors taking it down. He goes Kirk Cousins at the 15-11. I will say you kind of have to get a quarterback if you're at this range, considering that you're just going to have a lot of these guys going off the board in the middle of the 16th. So it kind of sucks picking at the end that you can't just have the value fall to you in the middle. But yeah, if you're having a problem getting verified for Underdog Fantasy, just shoot them a message and they'll be getting that done for you like ASAP. They'll verify you right away. Got Latavius Murray going at the 15-12. Okay, let's pull this up here as well. Okay, so it's interesting to see Scissors go. Okay, Scissors, this is something I don't know if I like that you did. Okay, so you go Cousins instead of Matt Ryan. And you also at the same time had, you had Russell Gage on this team. That's interesting. I definitely prefer Matt Ryan with that build. I think when you have Gage, with the Kirk Cousins, I know he's like a great value according to ADP. Personally, I'm just going to go with Matt Ryan there. So he also grabs Rashad Penny, someone else that I've been drafting a lot late in these drafts. Now from here, I think we can just grab a receiver. Yeah, we're just receivers on the way out here, guys. We butchered this draft. This is a pathetic performance. If you want to see me with a good draft where we're not like a little girl, you can go and you can watch the previous ones. Yeah, Matt Ryan goes to the 1603. That makes my pick where we took Ryan Tannehill in the 11th round. That makes my Tannehill pick look like the worst thing on the planet. So now at receiver, we're going to go with Nico Collins. I like Collins over Watkins. And now with the Nico Collins, he's going to be playing in two wide receiver sets. He actually outproduced Donovan Peoples-Jones at Michigan. Okay, Scissors says, missed the stack, but needed the homer pick from Minnesota. Laughed my ass off. Yeah, I didn't know you were from Minnesota, my man, so that makes a lot of sense. So here we have Aaron Jones, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt at running back. Receiver, we have Godwin, Moore, Sutton, Williams, Hawkinson at tight end. Later on, yeah, I shouldn't be criticizing anybody's draft right now. I shouldn't be criticizing anyone's. Okay. Caden says, Mason, how is the 105? Let's check out Caden's draft. Caden's been a member of the flock for a very long time now. He drafted from the 105. Here he took Zeke, Waller. And we actually did this with the first draft of the night tonight. Then McLaurin, Julio, Judy at receiver. I think we have a very similar start. We went Clyde Edwards-Helaire here. Then we went Julio Jones and Jerry Judy as well. And then we also got Dak Prescott. We did this exact same thing. And then I'll say, I felt like Dak Prescott was probably a bad pick here. I wish you would have watched the first draft and saw how it was a mistake when we went Dak and kind of learned that lesson, because now that you're looking at the quarterbacks that you could have gotten later on, I think it probably is pretty bad to be passing on the receivers in this range for Dak Prescott. Then Edmonds, nice running back value. Darnell, Marvin Jones, Zach Moss, Kenyon Drake, Tyrell Williams, AJ Green, Giovanni Bernard. Yeah, so you have to be done at running back now. Tight end going Zach Ertz. You're done at tight end. You probably need to get another QB in here. I'm surprised you didn't go quarterback there and you really wanted Quez Watkins. Okay, Brian says, is Kareem Hunt a good flex spot? Yes, Kareem Hunt's perfectly fine in the flex, and he definitely has elite upside if anything happens to Chubb. Derek says 106 seemed too easy. Let's go through and let's check out Derek's team for the 106. Y'all know Derek has gotten in a ton of these drafts with us so far. And guys, also, if you have not subscribed to the channel, make sure you go down there, subscribe, hit the bell next to the subscribe button. And here so far, Derek goes with a Kelsey at the 106. Then from there, Hopkins, Amari, Adam Thielen, Chase Claypool, Michael Gallup. So, I mean, just loading up on receiver. Like, this is the dream start in Underdog. This is what we try to accomplish in every draft. And Javonte, Ronald Jones. Ronald Jones does seem a little rich here. Like, I don't necessarily like this Ronald Jones value whatsoever. I mean, passing up on the receivers, like, I definitely prefer getting someone like a DJ Chark here instead of Ronald Jones, knowing what you could have had in the later rounds. Like, I prefer DJ Chark and Zach Moss over Ronald Jones, Rondell Moore, and honestly, it isn't close to me. That's the one pick that stands out. Edwards at the 1007. Honestly, I think that we probably go with another running back here. We probably go with another running back there instead of a Bryan Edwards. Fournette, Ramondre Stevenson, KJ Hamler, Byron Pringle, Damian Williams, Ben Roethlisberger. So I'm assuming you're also going to have to draft 3 quarterbacks in this team if you waited that long. Okay, now let's switch this back over. And yeah, there are a lot of quarterbacks that people can choose from right now, but we're just receivers from here. We're just receivers. And Hunter Renfrow is probably going to be someone I bring onto this team. Now, I think that he is going to be seeing a decent amount of snaps. I think he's going to be seeing a decent amount of targets with John Brown no longer in that situation. That Michael Carter selection was so bad by us. We made multiple bad picks here. Okay, Derek Carr at the 1705 by Caden. Okay, so Derek, yeah, he's going quarterback here. I'm almost certain that he's going QB. If he doesn't, I think it's probably a pretty big mistake. Yeah, he goes Sam Darnold at the 1706. Okay, so Joel says, let's go pull this over. And do we go Eskridge or Hunter Renfrow? We're just going to go Renfrow. I think Eskridge does have a higher spike week potential, but a big thing with Hunter Renfrow is at this point on this team, at receiver, we don't even need just spike weeks. We just need guys to go in the lineup. That's all we need. We need someone that can play the wide receiver 3. I mean, if Renfro's scoring like 9 points in a week, he may be making our starting lineup. So I think that does make more sense. Let's go through and let's check out what Scissors are going to do in the last 2 rounds. I honestly have no idea what he's going to do. He can't take a quarterback. A quarterback, I think, would be so bad here. I think if you went with a quarterback after going with Mahomes in the 3rd, that'd be pretty bad. What else would be bad? He could go with the tight end when he waits so long with Jonnu and Cole Kmet. I think a tight end would be fine. He goes DeMarcus Robinson, and obviously when in doubt, go receiver. Obviously when in doubt, go with a receiver. Yeah, but I think this last round, as long as it's not like QB, I think you could see him go wide receiver, running back, or tight end. It makes a lot of sense. He actually gets a DeMarcus Robinson stacked in there with a Patrick Mahomes. Tyler Kroft goes at the 1801. Blake Jarwin at the 1802. Okay, so he does decide to get a 3rd tight end with that build. I think that honestly is probably what I'd do as well. But let's pull this back over, and we're just getting one last receiver in here. Yeah, it's going to be Dwayne Eskridge. I mean, sucky team. It is what it is. And let's show off this draft board, guys. And this was a draft that we got going with FaZe Scissors, my man. Thank you for coming out. And out of the spirit of everything, let's get another draft going. We've done 4 drafts on this live stream tonight, but this is a fantastic live stream. I've had so much fun in this live stream so far. Let's not stop now. It's 11:30. So if you've DM'd me wanting that draft guide, if you use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy and you want that draft guide, yes, it's going to take 1 second, but let me get we're just going to get a $10 draft going, guys. I've spent way too much money on drafts right now. I'm honestly probably going to reach out to Underdog Fantasy and say, hey, if we fill out some more big dog drafts, can we get some more money in our account? Please, Underdog Fantasy. Hopefully that happens. If not, we may be done with the big dog drafts. We've been going a little over budget there as of late. So hopefully, don't want to put Underdog in a bad position, but it'd be nice. And let me get a $10 draft going just in case we need a budget out. I don't want to be making too many deposits on Underdog throughout the season because I would love to get some stuff going during the middle of the year as well with these live streams. And obviously we can't see our league winnings until the end of the season with this. So let me share the link to our next $10 draft. Okay, so Scissors says he'd run it back again. Okay, so we'll go through. Let me send this next link out to Scissors real quick. I'm going to send that to you on Twitter, my man. We'll get another draft going with Scissors. So if you want to get in a draft with Face Scissors, here's your chance. We're sending Scissors. I just sent that link to you. That's going to be a $10 draft, everyone. Let me go to the active one. We're just going to wait till Scissors joins, and then we'll go through and we'll send it out in the live chat for everybody else. Okay, so Scissors is already in here. Okay, so he's in here. I'm going to be sending this link out in the live chat right now if anybody else wants to come out to this draft. Okay, so we just sent that out. I'm assuming this is going to get filled like this, guys. If you are ever going to consider to upgrade your Wi-Fi, ever going to consider upgrading your internet, this probably should be about the time. And yeah, we are getting that filled. Hopefully we don't draft next to Scissors this time. And this time, we're going to be more composed. We're going to realize we're the Fantasy Vlog Network. We got 33,000 subscribers. We'll go through. We'll just figure this out. And we are going to be picking. Scissors gets the 101. Now, the pressure's on when you get the 101, because I'll say, like, whenever you're drafting, okay, we're bookending it here. I mean, no snipes at all. I'm going, let's get this going. This is, yeah, Scissors gets the 101. We get the 112. It is what it is. I guess the world is putting us in our place. The world's showing us exactly what's up, but we'll get it going. And guys, if you're saying the link is not working, the link's working. Clearly, we got 12 people in here getting this draft going. It's that you probably just didn't click it fast enough. You probably got a little boxed out. And going through, we got the Joe Riggs. This is a new member of the draft. We got Party Till She's Hot. That's a regular. Lank Dog, a regular. Rummy Rams, a regular. Prince X, I believe they've been out in a few of these. Lud Daddy, this is also a regular. D Wade, he first started getting these drafts last week, but since then he's been a regular. Deezonator's a regular. G Tambo, I apologize if I don't remember the name, but I believe that's also a new name in this draft. And then we got another regular out here in Radius, a member of the Flock on Patreon. And Scissors takes Christian McCaffrey at the 101. No surprise there. I mean, obviously, that's what you're going to be expecting. Now, the question is, what are we doing at the 112? How are we redeeming ourselves in this draft? Okay, yeah. Scissors says, I didn't take Ben DiNucci. Sorry to let you down. I think we may have a lawsuit on our hands, to be honest here. I mean, let's scroll back up to the top of the draft and let's see that message. You may have a lawsuit on your hands for a $10 buy-in to an Underdog draft. I'll tell you that right now. Okay, so now after this, Adam says, I need Dwayne Wade's Wi-Fi. Yeah, hey guys, Dwayne Wade he had a long career in the NBA. He had a long career in the NBA to get the Wi-Fi that he has. I mean, to get whatever internet that he has. I mean, that's how he gets in here. King KJ coming out with the donation. Thank you, my dude. Says, my man, I'm in a 10-team full PPR with a ton of wide receiver depth. Should I trade Corey Davis for Trey Sermon? Thanks, man. Oh, 100% make that trade. Yes. I mean, Trey Sermon does have more upside in that format. Corey Davis isn't going to be making a massive impact for you just in that specific league format. So make that trade. Jaggy coming out with the donation says, what made you move to Tampa? Okay, so guys, if y'all didn't know, I actually graduated from the University of Texas this past spring, and I actually graduated with a couple degrees. But I mean, my senior year at UT, I mean, YouTube started blowing up, and I went, well, based on all the Patreon support, I can now do this full time. And I don't necessarily need a normal person job. Of course, I would love to do YouTube. YouTube and fantasy football are like my favorite things. So instead, I was like, okay, well, we're going to be able to have a job where we can work from anywhere. And my family moved to Tampa, and I have a bunch of younger siblings. So I was like, might as well be close to my younger siblings. I can see them go to their basketball games, see them grow up and everything. So I just moved here to follow them because I can work from anywhere. And now, when we're going to be on the clock, we're going to go with a Saquon Barkley. And then I think from here, knowing how receivers are going to go off the board, let's just get Barkley and Ridley. I mean, I really wanted to go Taylor there, but let's just get Calvin Ridley. We know that Calvin Ridley can provide us a lot of upside at the receiver position, and I don't want to be experiencing what we had in the last draft. I don't want that to happen again. Dakota says, wow, phase, more like fake. You said it. I didn't, my man. You said it. I didn't. Okay, so now after this, and guys, for whatever reason, if you have not subscribed to the channel, what are you doing? Go down there, subscribe to the channel. It helps us out a ton. We just passed 33,000 subscribers. I bet you will be at 34,000 by the time the season kicks off. We're going to get 2 videos out a day from here on out. We're going to get a live stream going every single night. Nobody works harder than I do. I work fantasy football from the time I wake up at about 8 a.m. to the time I go to bed. I'm sending out draft guides at 2 a.m. 7 days a week. I eat, breathe, and sleep fantasy football. You can tell by the amount of content we put out. Put 14 podcasts out on Patreon today. We've gotten a live stream going every single day over the past month with a real money fantasy football drafts. We've gotten a video going out every single day for probably a years. I have no idea how long we've been doing that. We've been doing it forever now. I probably have uploaded thousands of videos over the past 2 years. So make sure you subscribe to the channel because nobody is working harder to make sure that you dominate 2021 in your league than we are. Make sure you hit that sub button and subscribe to the channel as well. Okay, so Chubb falling all the way to the 207 after we take him at the 204 in the last draft. Scissors says, I respect the grind. I see the double uploads. Scissors, be completely honest with me. I mean, if I could have a second of your time, maybe I'll DM you this. Last year, we actually were doing 3 to 4 uploads a day in a live stream every single night. We grew a lot. Like, we grew more than anybody else in fantasy football. I don't know if it was because of that. I know a lot of other people just do daily uploads, and daily uploads, I know YouTube's supposed to like that. But if I was ever going to be able to ask anything from you, I would just ask one thing about the YouTube algorithm. But if you want to, you can answer that through DMs. Okay, now Clyde Edwards-Helaire goes at the 212. George Kittle goes at the 301. Okay, so Scissors going through and having a very similar start to what he had in the last draft. He goes and he gets a running back early and he gets an elite tight end. Interesting here. Interesting. Okay, so I guess he's going to be chasing the dragon at receiver for the rest of the draft as well. Maybe we try to push something. Maybe we go receiver at this turn here. Okay, so Lamb at the 302. And let me also give a shout out to everybody subscribing to the channel. We got John, Seamus, D'Lo, Andrew, Zach, Face, Gerpel. Oh my God, I've probably said that name so wrong. It sounded like I'm sorry if that's your name. Daniel, Vetten, Josh, DJ Curley, Dustin, Mr. Epio, Stefan Rowe, Nate Dog, David, Blaine, Jesus, Jared, Ryan. I'm assuming that was maybe Jesus. I apologize for that. Sam the Fan, Jeleny, Edward, OS, Easy Life, Only One Don, Anthony, Death Knight, Kevin, Corey, Joseph, Mike, Tanner, Thomas, Jay. Thank you, my dudes. Thank you all for coming out here and subscribing. McLeod says, did you go to UT? Yes, I graduated from the University of Texas this past spring. Okay. Scissors says, I've never done more than double uploads personally. 1 to 2 is the sweet spot, I think. Okay. I'll keep that in my mind, my man. Because I know like a lot of like literally like businesses and like corporations and media networks, of course, who have no idea how to work on YouTube whatsoever. They'll go through and they'll upload like 30 videos in a day and they have like 6 million subscribers and they'll get like 6,000 views on a video. So I know there's a point where you definitely are hurting yourself by continuing to upload. I just don't know what that point is. Like, I think we're already kind of pushing it with a live stream a night and 2 videos today, but I just simply don't know. I'm not smart enough. Okay, so now I'm saying here, we're probably going receiver. I'm probably grabbing 2 of them. Now, Chris Godwin goes to Decenters. Cooper Kupp goes to JT Ambo. So now we're going to be at a tougher spot with our receiver selections. The thing is, I don't think we want to be drafting receivers at the 5-6 turn. I would rather be getting those receivers here. And if we want to get running backs later on, I think we can get them then. So yeah, DJ Moore goes. So I think we just honestly probably take a Mike Evans here. Y'all know I prefer I prefer Chris Godwin over Mike Evans. And after we have Evans on the board, I mean, I would actually rank Julio Jones over a Tyler Lockett in a regular fantasy football draft where you're submitting your starting lineup weekly. But considering that you are getting the random spike weeks from a Tyler Lockett, I think we possibly do prefer to go Lockett just in this exact format. So yeah, we're going to draft double receivers here. So we're going to battle it out with Scissors so far. He's gone through and he's really punted the receiver position through 3 rounds where we have, loaded up on 3 of them. Maybe James Robinson at the 402. Okay, so Radius loading up on those running backs as well. James Robinson went at the 402 in the last draft. DJ Curley wanted us to take Mahomes. Oh my God. JT Ambo going Kyler Murray at the 403. That is wild. Going Kyler Murray over Mahomes when you do not have DeAndre Hopkins. Oh my gosh. I cannot get behind that, guys. I think that is a very bad call. Do not be taking Kyler Murray in this range. And what you need to be doing is, instead of making this mistake, you just need to make the best decision in your life. And in my opinion, that is the decision to help support this channel. And how you do that is you use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. That's where we're drafting every single night. When you use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy and make a $10 deposit, you can find the link in the description of the channel. You actually get $25 added to your account. You get our 2021 fantasy football rankings. You get our 2021 draft guide. You get our 2021 tiers. And you get our 2021 Dynasty Rookie Draft Guide. There's literally nothing that you could ever come across that would be nearly as close as a good deal as that. So please, 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 guys, make sure you are going through and taking advantage of that offer. It helps us out a ton, guys. So please make sure you go out there and do that. Now, Brandon Ayuk does go at the 409. Ray Gunn comes out and says, traded Logan Thomas and Terrace Marshall for Mark Andrews. Logan Thomas and Terrace Marshall for Mark Andrews. Honestly, I really like that. If we're talking about just the shallow format, we know that Terrace Marshall in a 2021 fantasy league, not necessarily going to be making a weekly impact for you. It's more so going to be a roster clogger where we have to really wait a very long time for him to earn those routes run on that Panthers team and earn those targets. So yeah, just love that trade going and getting a Mark Andrews. Okay, so Swift goes to the 411. Let's see what Scissors does here. It's going to be tough, I think, to get a receiver. Let's see. This is why I usually like going with a receiver instead of a Clyde Edwards-Helaire here, because then you could take like a Miles Sanders at the 4-5 turn, and then you could also have like a Lamb or a Keenan Allen on your team that you got in the second. So he goes Claypool. And see, this is what I'm talking about. Like, you see just the tier drop off. He goes Claypool and Chase. And yes, see, that's why I was talking about. Like, I think that there's a much like smaller gap between just Clyde Edwards-Helaire and like a Miles Sanders that you would find here compared to what you're getting with like a CeeDee Lamb and then a Miles Sanders. I'm sorry, a CeeDee Lamb and a Chase Claypool. I think there's a bigger gap between Claypool and Lamb than there is with Sanders and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And that's why really, especially when you have CMC, because why CMC is so valuable in fantasy is he has a floor that can't be matched at the running back position as well as that elite level ceiling. You are so set at running back already with that one draft pick. Like, it's not even funny, the mathematical advantage that you're getting with the Christian McCaffrey there, that I think that you can't afford to just continue to punt running back. So even if there were like not a Miles Sanders here available to you and you didn't want to draft a running back there, it doesn't really matter because you already have Christian McCaffrey. So in my opinion, there's no real reason to go CEH at the 212. I think that I would probably prefer to get a receiver there more times than not. Okay, so Lamar Jackson at the 506. Even though I know Clyde Edwards-Helaire does have his ADP right there, I just think that we're more so willing to draft like CEH on just a different team. Like, I actually like love Joe Mixon, but on a 101 team that we drafted in a $250 draft, I think that was 2 nights ago, we were in a spot where we took CMC in the first, and then Joe Mixon fell to us at the 212, and I have Mixon significantly ahead of Clyde Edwards-Helaire at this point. And I was even having a hard time making that decision just because I was like, we're going to put ourselves in such a bad spot at receiver later on. We ended up doing it regardless just because, the value was too much to pass up on. But I definitely think we want to be grabbing a receiver at that 2-3 turn when we have Christian McCaffrey. Okay, so now we have TJ Hawkinson at the 509. It would have been really nice for us to get Hawkinson here. We are going to get, hopefully, Radius has 3 running backs. He has Aaron Jones, Jonathan Taylor, James Robinson. We get our guy. I hate him in fantasy over the past 2 years, but now when he's fallen to the 5-6 turn, we're taking him consistently. We're going to get Josh Jacobs as our running back 2. And then from here, honestly, we're probably going to get Josh Jacobs and then Robbie Anderson. We're probably going to go with another receiver. Because I think we're good enough at running back. Like, we have enough guaranteed touches, and I'm going to prefer to have a wide receiver in our flex spot no matter what. So when we would rather have the receiver in the flex spot, I think that it's probably better to just get Robbie Anderson at the 601. So yeah, we're going to go Ridley, Evans, Lockett, Anderson at receiver, and then we have a Barkley, Jacobs at running back. I think we're redeeming ourselves here. We're redeeming ourselves for the horrendous draft that we had just in the last one. Now we have a couple teams going light receiver. We have GT Ambo with Cup, LaVisca. We have Radius with Moore, Odell. So, okay, this is going to be intriguing because we pretty much have built in the exact opposite structure of what they have so far. Derek says, I have a 1 and a 250. I don't know what I should do at the 2-3 turn. At the 2-3 turn, you take an elite tight end and you take one of the receivers. Unless you get Mixon falling to you, if you have the 101, man, if this is an underdog draft, like if you're talking like you're in the big dog draft right now, I promise you, man, you're going to be set up like Scissors literally saw this right here with what happened to him at the 4-5 turn. I mean, just looking at the fact that I think the opportunity cost that you have by taking like a Clyde Edwards-Helaire in this range, it's just too much. Where my vote, if you have the 101, get the elite tight end in a George Kittle. If Darren Waller fell to you somehow, that would be fantastic, but very rarely is that ever going to happen at this point. So if Waller falls to you, you're taking Waller. If not, just take George Kittle at the 212 and then take your favorite receiver here at the 301, unless Mixon falls. And Mixon is the only running back that I'll take. Okay, so Mike coming out with a donation. Thank you, my man. Says 12-team standard, 3 bench spot. Any trade/move recommendations? I will say also, guys, if y'all don't know, by far and away, if you want like a breakdown of your fantasy team, 100% the best way to do it is on Patreon. Y'all know how I said I got out like 14 podcasts today on Patreon. Those were 14 team breakdowns where if you join the flock on Patreon, then you're actually going to get your team broken down by me in a podcast where I can go through and I can spend 5, 6, 7 minutes talking about your exact team, looking at screenshots, looking at the league settings, talking about how to optimize for the league settings and everything to go with it. Of course, I truly do appreciate any donations y'all send in with your teams, and I will go through and give you my instant reaction. But you're getting like a 10-second, very quick thing that I don't really even fully understand your league settings. It's not that valuable whatsoever, to be completely honest. Whereas on the other hand, when you are on Patreon and I can go through and I can get that entire podcast going for you, it's significantly better. I promise you guys. Okay, Mike says 12-team standard, 3 bench spot. Any trade/move recommendations? Kyler, Lamb, Antonio Brown, Eckler, Gibson, Fant, Gaskin, Hunt, Rojo, Chark. So if you only have 3 bench spots, I mean, those guys down there on the bench are going to be not valuable whatsoever. And that what we're going to find is the waiver wire options are going to be really good. So if we're looking to make any moves at all, what we're probably going to be trying to do is make 2-for-1 trades where we're going through and like taking a Myles Gaskin and a Noah Fant, and we're trying to trade up to get to like a George Kittle. I think that would be fantastic because you're going to find a running back off the waiver wire that's not going to be too different from a Myles Gaskin. Maybe you can go and get someone like a Melvin Gordon. And I know most likely that's not going to be the case, but those are going to be about the names that you can find in that range if you only have 3 bench spots on your team. So you really have to look at any trade that you're doing like that. And if you're trying to make a 2-for-1 trade, instead you're having to try to go through and look at the best player available on the waiver wire and add them to the other side of the deal. And so go, okay, well, I'm giving up 2 pieces, but I'm getting an open roster spot where I can pick this guy up off the waiver wire. So it's essentially as if they're adding them in on the trade. So definitely look at trades like that. I would say if we can go through, if we can upgrade the tight end position, that's 100% something I'm looking to do. Maybe even upgrade receiver just by trading like a Ronald Jones. And I mean, I don't want to trade away Antonio Brown though. Yeah, so I'd say Fant is probably the upgrade I'm looking at. Ray Gunn says, thoughts on Gus Edwards in a non-PPR format. Really love Gus Edwards in a PPR format. I don't, however. Okay, so Scissors goes receiver, pretty much exactly what he did in the last draft, loading up on running backs in a onesie position early on and then getting the receivers afterwards. So Myles Gaskin goes at the 707. Justin says, do I trade Henry and Higgins for Taylor and Godwin? I honestly think that you may get more production with Taylor and Godwin, but a big thing is I can't tell you to do that because I know you actually have more trade value with the Derrick Henry. So I think you can ask for more with the Derrick Henry. Okay. So now Juju goes at the 708. Designator's on the clock with only 1 running back. Maybe they go with the Raheem Mostert. Radius ended up having 4 running backs. They took a Darrell Henderson after we got out of the turn there. That's a very intriguing that they took Henderson on that build. Okay, so this is a team that this may be best case scenario, boys. I thought we were getting a Russell Wilson fall to us. I mean, if we got Russell Wilson falling to us on a Tyler Lockett team at the 7-8 turn, that would have been fantastic. I think we're going to load up Will Fuller here. I mean, Will Fuller is someone that I haven't stopped drafting really ever, but I don't plan on doing it anytime soon. thing is, Logan Thomas just feels a little rich here. I know we have to push tight ends up the board, but at the same time, do we have to push Logan Thomas up this high? Let's just take Logan Thomas. Let's not try to push it. We're not looking for the highest ceiling ever created in this league. Like, if this was going to be a league that we were playing in with the tournament at the end, then sure, we go through and do that. But let's not push any buttons here. We know that we don't have to continue to load up on receiver. We can't just bring in a Logan Thomas at the 801. Raygun says Chase Edmonds or Gus Edwards in a full PPR. I will say we're going to go with a Chase Edmonds there, even though I think it's a lot closer than most people would assume. Because, I mean, you are going to get those targets out of the backfield for Chase Edmonds, and that's simply not going to happen with a Gus Edwards. Now, A.J. Dillon does go at the 803. Zach says, need a running back two. Harris, Fournette, Moss. Running wide receivers are Adams, Lockett, Higgins, Chenault Pittman. Tight end, Kittle. Quarterback, Rodgers. Do I trade Lockett for Josh Jacobs? I'll say, if your starting requirements are start one quarterback, two running backs, two receivers, a tight end, and a flex, yes, make that trade. Just go get Josh Jacobs. Because in a format like that, I mean, receiver's not going to be that valuable because you never have to go that deep, and you can always find someone off the bench that you're going to be sliding into the starting lineup. Once we get to a league where you have to start three receivers and you have two flexes, there we have to take a step back. We have to go, okay, well, maybe we have to reconsider. But no, if you're playing in a very shallow format, that's going to be something I'd look to do. Now, at this point, we're kind of wanting to see receivers fall off the board. At this point, we're not necessarily wanting to see those running backs go, just because, I mean, so far in this team, we only have Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs, which isn't horrendous, but it is what it is. Okay, so Callaway goes at the 807. Let's show off this entire draft board for anybody just now coming into this live stream. Okay, and also, if you're just now coming to this live stream, guys, this is literally phase scissors in the draft with us right now. And I'm not joking. Like, I usually make stupid jokes that nobody thinks are funny through the live stream just to keep myself entertained. That's not a joke. It's the real deal, my dudes. It's the real deal. So we can go through and we can critique his team, because I will tell you, I'm sure he already knows the YouTube comments. They are ruthless. Ruthless. Okay. Darnell Mooney at the 810. Mike Williams. Okay, if he would have had a Mike Williams falling to him, I would imagine that he would have been jumping up and down. Now, this right here, Party Till She's Hot, I am so surprised to see Party Till She's Hot make this decision. He is a very good drafter, and he decides to go with a Darnell Mooney over Mike Williams on a team that he has Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen. I think I prefer Mike Williams over Darnell Mooney straight up, but especially when you have Justin Herbert here, I think that's honestly probably a really bad mistake passing on to Mike Williams. And now Scissors gets DJ Chark at the 812. Honestly, probably should not be allowed to do that. And Jarvis Landry. Oh my God, he's just crushing it at this point. Look at Scissors draft so far, guys. Definitely better than the last draft. 100% better than the Patrick Mahomes draft. Where at running back, CMC, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Tight end has George Kittle. And receiver, Claypool, Jamar, Galladay, Gallup, Chark, and Jarvis. I know a lot of people are saying, well, how are you going to know who to start? I mean, yeah, that's a wide receiver core that's going to put up a lot of points, but I mean, you're never going to be able to capture him because a lot of those guys are going to be on your bench. Well, guys, I mean, we are actually going through and playing in a league where you don't submit your starting lineup every week. It just gets automatically submitted at the end of the week for you. So, I mean, if you have a random week where DJ Chark does pop off for a touchdown, 70 receiving yards, and 8 receptions, then all of a sudden he slides into your starting lineup. No problem. No questions asked. Whereas, I mean, if Jamar Chase in a regular league, if you would submit him in your starting lineup and he only catches 2 balls for 14 yards, then instead of him actually staying in your starting lineup, he slides out in like a Jarvis Landry who has a better game, slides in. So loading up on a ton of receivers is definitely an advantage. That's kind of where we went through and got a ton at the 112. Jaws says he made the hardest custom maps. Yeah, guys, do you remember like all the challenges that people are doing? Like that was like an entire era of YouTube whenever they were doing the scissors challenges. Okay, so now let's go here at the 907. And that's when I was watching that's when I was watching Fortnite stuff. So you just saw everybody going through and doing those challenges. So Michael Thomas at the 909. At this point, this is kind of why we take receivers, guys. I know a lot of people probably hated our last few picks when we were going receiver heavy, but we take it so when we get on the clock here, I mean, we have the luxury that we can double tap the running back position and be completely fine. Now, if we wanted to go with a quarterback, I mean, the problem is none of these guys really stack with our receivers. I know you don't have to have that stack, but at the same time, when we need running backs anyway, and we have some decent values available to us, we're going to take Zach Moss here over Melvin Gordon out of respect. And then we're going to get Melvin Gordon as well. So we have 4 running backs. We're probably only going to be drafting 5 running backs on this build, to be honest, because we're probably going to need at least a total number of 5 quarterbacks and tight ends. Obviously not each, but total. So we have Barkley, Jacobs, Zach Moss, Melvin Gordon at running back. Melvin Gordon, I like him here because we don't have the fantasy football playoffs. It's just who can score the most points throughout the entire season. And then we have Ridley, Evans, Lockett, Robbie Anderson, Will Fuller at receiver. And we have Logan Thomas at tight end. Robbie says the scissors courses are iconic. If I had the setup to play Fortnite, you better believe we'd be getting some games in right now after this live stream. Not with scissors, but out of respect. Out of respect. Aaron says, am I wrong for wanting DJ Chark over Mike Williams? I have DJ Chark in my rankings ahead of Mike Williams. I think you actually have to... I think Mike Williams has more spike week potential, though. I think DJ Chark, it's in the range of outcomes where he becomes a more predictable wide receiver that can make an impact in your starting lineup, and you know exactly when to put him out there. I think Mike Williams is going to be hard to see him turn into someone that's a must-start guy every week. Okay, and also, guys, if you're going to ask me, any rankings questions or anything in the live chat, to be completely honest, it's a little insulting at this point. When I went out and made it a priority to make sure that every single fan of this channel had the easiest access possible on YouTube to all of my rankings, my entire draft guide, something that I worked, ask my girlfriend. I did not see her for I don't know how long when I was working on those draft guides. And all you have to do is make a $10 deposit on Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK, and you can get in drafts with me. You get drafts. If you would have done it last week, you could have gotten a draft with Faye Scissors tonight. And if you're not willing to go out there and take the $25 that gets added to your account when you use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy, support the channel, and at the same time, go through and get everything added on with our draft guide, with our rankings, with our tiers. I don't necessarily know if we should be just going through and answering those questions, but Scissors back on the clock. He can go any direction. So he has CMC, CEH at running back. He has 6 receivers, and he has the elite tight end in George Kittle. So I wanted to pull up his name, see where he's going. Okay, so he's going with a Joe Burrow here to get that stack in with a Jamar Chase. Gets a Joe Burrow at a value as well. Clearly, that's a fantastic pick as your first quarterback. Nobody in this live chat that's out here regularly needs me to explain that. Scissors says, Lank, how dare you take Stafford from me? Honestly, I think Burrow maybe is a better pick for this build than Stafford. When you have Jamar Chase. Maybe I'm missing something, but... And Lawrence. Ooh. That Lawrence pick, that looks a little aggressive. Well, we'll see how that plays out. What else could you... I think, okay, so if we're going through and recapping Scissors draft, and of course, y'all know, I'm not trying to kiss ass or anything, just trying to give my honest opinion for everybody in the live chat. If I'm going through and looking at this, we already discussed maybe changing that Clyde Edwards selection. I'm a little more hesitant to say that was a bad pick now that we see that he was able to just recoup all these receivers here, which was honestly a little surprising, getting a value like a DJ Chark here at the 812. But this Lawrence selection at the 1101, I don't necessarily know if I love that Lawrence selection. Okay, so Scissors saying he wanted Trey Lance. Oh, if you would have gone Lance Burrow and you had Kittle on the team, now that would have been disgusting. That would have been fantastic. I just think that at that point, I probably prefer getting like a Kenyon Drake, a Jamal Williams, and knowing what the running back fall off is going to look like. And I don't know. It's too early to say. Let's see how it plays out. Because obviously, I want to use that hindsight against you. I want to see exactly how the board looks and then go, oh, this is what I would have done, because we know how the board falls. It's a very easy game you could play to make yourself look smart. Okay, now let's pull this back up. Now, running backs are available and they are plentiful. Now, the problem is we have a lot of them already. We've already drafted 4. And we can't take a quarterback here. Even though Tua Tagovailoa is the best available quarterback, he would complete the stack with a Will Fuller for us. We can't take him. So I don't know what we're doing. Deeznator's on the clock. He only has 2 running backs with Antonio Gibson, Ronald Jones. Maybe he goes RB here. Yeah, so he goes with a Michael Carter at the 1109. Where did we take Carter in the last draft? I feel like we got him after that, didn't we? Okay, so Gabriel Davis at the 1110. Radius on the clock. And I have to keep my mouth shut. We're okay. Jonnu Smith is taken like us. He was right there for us. So I think at this point, I'm honestly kind of looking at bringing in. Oh my gosh. How bad would have, I know it's going to look like a reach. I think we have to take Gerald Everett here though. We're going to take Everett actually, oh no, I don't think we have to. We're not going to. Remove. Get us Pollard. Okay, we get Pollard. Okay, so now I'm just double checking. Yeah, so the problem is if we were to take Gerald Everett, so we have Logan Thomas on this team. So I would be willing to take a tight end in this range that I figured that we would be fine drafting them and we don't have to draft another one in this draft. But the problem is Gerald Everett has the same bye week as Logan Thomas at the same time. So now instead, I think that it's probably not wise to bring in Gerald Everett with this pick because we're going to have to draft 3 tight ends regardless now. So instead, we're just going to bring in a receiver that has a lot of projected volume. And yeah, we're going to be done at running back after getting 5 guys here. I think that we're honestly kind of fine at running back. So yeah, we almost had a panic pick there. You going with the Gerald Everett, but the problem was he had the same bye week as a Logan Thomas, so we wouldn't have gotten the advantage of being able to go through and just have 2 of them on the roster. We would have had to draft 3 regardless. So might as well just get the receiver. When in doubt, go receiver. When in doubt, go with a receiver. Okay, so now let's go. I need to close out this window over here. Okay, so now Gerald Everett at the 1202, Marquez Valdes-Scantling at the 1203. I'm assuming, at least I'm hoping that we get a lot of running backs coming off the board soon. Tyrell Williams at the 1207. I mean, this is kind of why you want to wait on running back, to be honest. I mean, you're getting guys like Devin Singletary, Naheem Hines in the 12th round, the same round that you have like Marquez Valdes-Scantling, Nelson Aguilar, Cole Beasley going. The problem is, what we should have done, looking back at it, we shouldn't have gone with both Zach Moss, Melvin Gordon. This is one problem that I've found myself having in a lot of these drafts is I feel the need to double tap these positions very often. Like if we're going to go with a running back, it might as well double tap him. If we're going to go with a receiver, we do the same thing. I don't know if it's me being lazy. I don't know exactly what it's me doing, but it's something we need to fix because I think instead if we would have gone with like a receiver or a quarterback instead of Melvin Gordon, we'd be in a much better spot. But Scissors goes Fournette and Sterling Shepard. Okay, what other running backs were available when he went Fournette? Oh yeah, so I think that's honestly probably the right call. Let me see. Let's see his overall board. I have no idea what to expect from Scissors right here in terms of how many running backs he's going to roster. I'm going to be interested to track this because this is something I don't know the right answer to with the CMC build because obviously the CMC's build is completely different than really whatever you're seeing anywhere else. But you have Christian McCaffrey, Clyde Edwards-Helaire at running back with Leonard Fournette as the depth piece. And then at receiver, just a ton of guys. Claypool, Chase, Galladay, Gallup, Chark, Jarvis. Down here, Shepard as well. Quarterback, Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence. And then also up here at tight end, George Kittle. But like going back now that we can use that 2020 hindsight and try to nitpick some of Scissors' draft picks without looking like an idiot. Now we have the luxury that we can just use this insurance that we have in the draft board in front of us. I think that we do probably prefer like the combination of instead of getting a Lawrence here, like do you prefer Gabriel Davis and then the quarterback that you'd be looking at the 12-13 turn, like a Tua Tagovailoa compared to a Trevor Lawrence, a Sterling Shepard? I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is for that. So even though we were able to cheat and we were able to wait until we actually saw exactly what the picks would have been, I still don't know the right answer. Okay, let's pull this up. We cannot draft a, what's it called? A running back. We're done with running backs. We are QB, receiver, tight end exclusively from here. Okay, so obviously there's one player in particular that I'm looking to fall to is Chuba Hubbard, the guy that's rising like a rocket, goes off the board. Best case scenario? Can anybody scream best case scenario? We're getting them 13 picks behind their ADP. We get Tua Tagovailoa here to stack with a Will Fuller. We get Matt Ryan to stack with a Calvin Ridley. Does not get better than that. Does not get better than that for our quarterback value. So yeah, let's go through, show off this draft board really quick. And I did not even realize. I just checked the chat real quick, and Mowgli says nice stacks for Scissors. I didn't see that he had Chark, and that's why he got Lawrence. For whatever reason, I just knew that we were going to have LaVisca and Travis Etienne going off on the other side of the draft board. And I didn't even assume that DJ Chark was going to be here at the 8-12, even though we talked about that previously. So never mind. Completely ignore me, what I was saying with Trevor Lawrence. Because the thing is, when you're picking up the 101, you don't have the luxury of just waiting. You know Lawrence isn't going to make it back to you at the 12-12. So yeah, if you have DJ Chark there, we're completely fine with Lawrence. I was trying to nitpick the draft, but I mean, we kind of got put in our place. Okay, so Scissor says, if I got the Burrow and Lance, I would have been thrilled. Yeah, that would have just been... I think that's honestly one of my common starts. Burrow was someone that in these underdog drafts earlier this offseason, he was going significantly higher than he is now. Like, it's honestly weird seeing him fall this far. It feels like there have just been those negative reports coming out of Cincinnati, even though they've been mainly corrected. Like, it sounds like Burrow's 100% good to go week 1 now. And the same thing happened with Carson Wentz, where like Carson Wentz is the perfect example of this, and Jonathan Taylor as well, where I think drafters on Underdog have been very bad to adjust back with new news, in that like we get the news that Carson Wentz is someone that all of a sudden is possibly going to miss the beginning part of the season. So Carson Wentz goes from being someone that was getting drafted before Tua Tagovailoa and Matt Ryan, like he was going in the 13th round here. And then we get that news that he can miss the beginning part of the season. And drafters move down Carson Wentz to the end of the draft, as they should. Carson Wentz at that point should be going in the 17th, 18th rounds. But now that we know that he's going to go in week 1, he's still going at that same spot. People have been very bad to react to move those players back up. I think something similar here has happened with Joe Burrow, because Joe Burrow was actually going considerably ahead of this before, I mean, really full on draft season got into effect. Okay, so Jameis, Kirk Cousins going. Jameis just feels like such a risky pick there. Feels like such a risky pick. And also, guys, if you have not subscribed to the channel, what are you doing? Make sure you go down there, subscribe to the channel. It helps us out a ton. We just passed 33,000 subscribers. We have a fellow aspiring YouTuber down there in the chat with us, trying to take some lessons on how to host a live stream. So yeah, I mean, please show them what's up. Show them what a chat's supposed to look like. I bet Scissors has never seen a chat with this many people in it. That's actually probably pretty big for him. I never even thought about that. Scissors, have you seen a chat with 500 people in it? Guys, I'm assuming. If y'all don't know who Scissors is, he has 4.5 million views. 4.5 million subscribers. He's a slightly bigger YouTuber than me. Sammy Watkins at the 14-12. What running backs are available? Like, what running backs are we taking over Watkins at this point? Man, I think Gio was the pick. Yeah, Sammy Watkins, Dimey Brown. I think I go Gio there. Let's see what running back Scissors gets on the way back. Like, I don't necessarily see a massive difference between these receivers and the receivers that you're going to be looking at again when you're back on the clock. I think those may have been mistakes. Obviously, when in doubt, go with the receiver in this format. And maybe I'm underestimating the spike week potential. Also, I think that I probably prefer like an Austin Hooper as well. I know you have George Kittle, but Hooper, I just love Hooper as like a buy low candidate at tight end. Scissors comes out and he becomes a flocker. Man, I'm going to have to take a screenshot of this. I have to take a screenshot of this right now. Maybe even take a picture of my phone. You better believe my friends are getting these picks, guys. You better believe that. Okay. Excuse me. I know I look ridiculous. Okay, so we got Christian Kirk at the 1507, but Scissors, thank you for becoming a flocker, my man. I do really appreciate it. I appreciate it. This is the craziest thing ever. Okay, so Zach Wilson goes to the 1509. Okay, so we're about to actually be back up on the clock right now. So we're done at running back. And probably done at QB, to be honest. I mean, maybe if we see someone like in the 18th round, we really think that we can go out there and get them. I probably am drafting 3 tight ends at this point. So if we're drafting 3 tight ends, honestly, we probably can't take 3 QBs. Because we're still going to want 8 receivers on this team at the minimum. I mean, we do have Ridley, Evans, Lockett, Robbie, Will Fuller, Cole Beasley. So we have a strong receiver core. Let's just draft him. I mean, he is so far behind ADP. We're going to draft Jared Cook, even though I'm not a fan of Jared Cook. I think we've drafted Jared Cook maybe 3 drafts so far. Now from here, I don't know what to do with this next pick. Like, I really want to go Nico Collins. We're just going to go Byron Pringle. We're just going to listen to the sheep with ADP. No, F that. We're going to go Anthony Ferkshire. We're going to get our 3 tight ends coming in, and then we can just get 2 receivers at the end of the draft. We get 3 tight ends coming in. We can get 2 receivers at the end of the draft. All those receivers are the same for me. So let me go through and show the entire draft board off for anybody just now coming into the stream. And if you are just now coming into the stream, make sure you go down there, drop a like on the channel. It subscribes. Drop a like on the live stream. Subscribe to the channel. It helps us out a ton, my dudes. It definitely helps us out a ton. Okay, so let's move this back over. Scroll this down. Just I'm assuming at this point you can pause it. You can take a screenshot. You can see the draft board. You know what's going on. Like I said, Byron Pringle, Nico Collins do go off. We could have easily made a mistake with those last 2 picks. I just think at that point, like, if we do lock in Jared Cook and Anthony Ferkshire, we are going to be at least probably coming away with 13 points every single week at the tight end position with those 3 guys. So Nico Collins goes to the 1604. Adam Trautman goes to the 1605. And again, we don't know what tight ends are going to be making it back to us at the 17-18 turn. We don't know if we're going to get like a Pat Frymuth or anything. Rashad Penny at the 1606. This has been a great live stream, my dudes. This has been a great live stream. Okay. Donovan Peoples-Jones. It's so intriguing that, I mean, I feel like not much has happened with Donovan Peoples-Jones. However, people have just been willing to raise him up their rankings dramatically. And I was saying just a month ago that Donovan Peoples-Jones I wasn't saying so for Underdog Fantasy, but I was saying that he was a great buy low candidate in Dynasty Fantasy Football on the Dynasty channel. But I mean, it just feels weird that like everybody's aboard of Donovan Peoples-Jones getting hyped up right now. Like in some of those large field tournaments, I've actually been taking Rashad Higgins at the very last round just as someone going, I mean, maybe he gets a shot. Maybe we actually see him go out there and he's going to have an ownership percentage of like 1%. So if he does spike during the tournament at the very end, then he could end up sliding into our starting lineup. And also some other guys that have been taking us long shots in that last round if anybody's intrigued. Let's see what Scissors does, because I think he has 3 running backs with CEH. Okay, so he goes Wayne Gallman and Pat Frymuth. Okay, so this is interesting. I've seen him getting drafted in drafts. I don't know if I can get there with it. I know that he looked okay in New York. It just seems, maybe I'm being very hypocritical because I've been the one saying that Mike Davis and the projected opportunity isn't safe. And at the same time, I guess I can't say that in one hand and then go in the other hand and say, well, the backup running backs in Atlanta aren't intriguing. I would definitely like this a lot. Like if we were playing in the big dog draft or if we were playing in Best Ball Mania or the puppy draft where Wayne Gallman wasn't getting drafted at all a long time ago. So going back to what we were talking about with ownership percentages being very low, I think we would really like that selection. But I think going back, like I think Scissors done a really good job in this draft. And I have to kind of revoke what I said about the Trevor Lawrence pick. Now that we see that DJ Chark was there, I think Lawrence was the correct selection. I think the only like complaint that I probably have with this draft is I think going like Watkins and Diame here. I think this was most likely a mistake. I think going with just say a Giovanni Bernard or, I mean, even Tevin Coleman, because we know Tevin Coleman's been rising up a lot lately and Gio obviously has the injury. Like going with like a Tevin Coleman and Austin Hooper. So going Tevin Coleman, Austin Hooper, and then here at receiver instead. I mean, getting a Hunter Renfrow. I don't know if you want Alan Lazard. Obviously, Lazard's been falling a lot, but a Hunter Renfrow and Deshaun Jackson instead of a Sammy Watkins, Diame Brown. I don't know if this pairing a receiver is that different than what you're actually getting from here. And I could safely say that I would prefer the combination of Austin Hooper and Tevin Coleman versus Wayne Gallman and Pat Frymuth. But that's probably something I would go through and look to change. Now, switching this over right now at the 17-12. Well, I mean, we have to draft double receiver. We put ourselves in not the best situation at receiver. I think we've had a fine draft. We've had a fine draft. It's not fantastic. It's not the draft that we had at the beginning of the stream, but I think for the 112, there are not that many decisions that I'm looking back at with regret. We can go through and we can recap my draft right now. Kadarius Toney is definitely trending in the right direction. I think Toney is an intriguing player to see those spike weeks. Not too intrigued with Adarius Slayton. Demarcus Robinson, obviously, if he could carve out a role in that offense, he is someone that you really like. Honestly, we may end up going, Let's go Olamide Zaccheaus, considering that we have Matt Ryan. We can use that as an easy tiebreaker. So let's just go with Zaccheaus as our last receiver. And let's recap this draft for us so far. We've already talked about scissors here with what we would most likely change on that. And we can always find something that we would change on mine. So here we have Barkley, Jacobs at running back. Love those picks with where we got them. We got Ridley, Evans, Lockett, Robbie, Fuller. Let's go back. I think that those are all fine as well. I think really the main pick that I'm kind of looking back and regretting in my own is going to be this Melvin Gordon selection, especially if we would have been just planning out knowing that we got Calvin Ridley, if we could potentially bring in the double stack with a Russell Gage here. Like if we pass on a Melvin Gordon, we get a Russell Gage. And then looking at the running backs that went at the beginning of the 12th, like I think this was a mistake and that we would 100% prefer getting a Russell Gage and a Devin Singletary with this build compared to a Melvin Gordon and a Cole Beasley. So that's the main mistake that I want to highlight in my draft. Here, someone could convince me that this is a mistake going with the double tight ends before we go with the double receivers. If you have a strong argument on why I should not have done that, I am all ears for that kind of argument. And we got Demarcus Robinson going off. But we'll wait and we'll see the last pick for scissors. And I'm sorry, guys, this is probably going to be the last draft that we have done on the live stream. We have done a ton of drafts tonight. We did a $10 warm-up draft with people over there on Patreon. We did two $250 drafts. And then we did 2 drafts with FaZe scissors. Legitimately, guys, I know a lot of people are going to go, what? No, yes, that got done. So it's been an eventful draft. Make sure, guys, you subscribe to the channel. Use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. And if you did use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy at any point, or if you plan on doing it right now, make sure you go over and send me a message anywhere. It doesn't matter if it's Twitter, Instagram, Patreon, Discord. It doesn't matter if you email me. In the description of the video, you can find all that information. And all you have to say is, Mason, I use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. I want the draft guide. I want the rankings. I want anything. The $25 will automatically get added to the account. You just have to send me the email that you ended up signing up with Underdog Fantasy with and use promo code FLOCK. That way I can go out there and I can confirm that you did, and then I'll send that to you ASAP. So actually, this is going to get real weird as soon as we do that. So I will let y'all know what scissors ends up doing. Okay, yeah, so that just switched over. Let me pull this back up to see what he did. Yeah, so he goes Ben DiNucci for the memes at the very end. We'll go through and we'll pull that up. Gets Ben DiNucci in the 18th round. Pretty much punts the $10 away, but I mean, it's all fun and games. My man, thank you so much for coming out. So this was a great live stream. Thank you, everybody that was out here. Thank you, Scissors, for coming out, hanging out with us. If you ever want to come in another stream, another draft, just shoot me that DM. I'd be happy to get you a link out anytime. We're going to be live streaming every single night, guys. Do not worry about that. We're uploading videos every single day. Just make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the bell next to the subscribe button. Use promo code FLOCK in Underdog Fantasy. Go check out FaZe Scissors if you want some great esports content, if you just want some great personality content. And yeah, that's all I got for you, my dudes, and have a great day.